Ziti Sauce, welcome to the Sae Bae cast. How you doing, man?
Thank you. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
I found you from a suggested YouTube video, and I feel like your video really spoke to me, and I reached out pretty much immediately. And what was funny, I searched your name on Discord because you didn't have like a business email or anything attached to your YouTube account. So as I searched you, I realized 3.5 years ago, we actually had some communication back and forth just briefly about like audio settings or something. So that was funny because I thought we had never talked before. So that was interesting. So then ended up kind of just scheduling this, and there is so much to talk about. Let me focus in right now and just get a brief overview of who you are as a player and what you've been up to lately, and maybe just what got you into RuneScape.
Sure, that sounds good. I honestly forgot about that like audio. I must have just like popped into your stream at some point and you were talking about like a specific audio interface. And then I was like, oh, that's what I have. And I think I had similar issues. So yeah,
That
I'm
was
glad I
exactly
could
it.
help. I don't know if it actually did help, but I'm glad I
It
could
did.
share
It did.
a little
In fact,
something.
because
Okay.
you linked me the download for it or something like that, and this is the exact product I have, so it ended up working out quite well. So thank you for that.
Hell yeah, nice. Yeah, I can just like do a little short intro. Yeah, I'm an Ironman. I've been playing for like forever. It's like probably like everyone else that's ever been on this cast since like 2005 or something. But yeah, like endgame Iron. I'm max with GM. I am currently more of a clogger. I'm a dirty, filthy clogger. And yeah, I've been working towards gilded staff very, very slowly, but obviously that's like a many, many 1,000-hour grind. So very slowly chipping away at it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can go into as much detail as you want about like my history of the game or everything, but I feel like I don't have that special of a story. It's kind of the standard, like played on and off, had a main, old school came out, got addicted, never stopped playing.
Perfect. Those are literally the bullet point version, and so we don't need to go all into it. But I want to make it clear to those listening, like this dude is super end game Iron Man, Radiant Oath plate. You know, you got the Zuck helm, you got the everything. You are purely just clogging at this point. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of that. I know I saw you with Radiant Oath plate, but I'm sure you have a Zuck helmet as well if you have that.
Yeah, yeah, I got Zuck helm a bit ago, and I know your opinions on having to upkeep it, but I do upkeep it as new updates come along, and
I did
yeah,
too
so
for
now
a little
kind of
bit.
there's nothing else to go for.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, for
But
a few renditions. I don't know when I stopped, but that maybe we'll talk about that later in the conversation. But people know my take on it, obviously, if they listen to the casts. So yeah, I want to just narrow in on the fact that you have put in a ton of hours on this game. You have a very pimped out account, and you have experienced the Iron Man journey. And I think that's just a clear thing to point out for the audience, that you will know what you're talking about in terms of Iron Man progression and everything like that. And I think it's just a good baseline to start with. So
yeah, and I think I
yeah.
started this account in like 2016 or so, probably. So it's I've experienced the Iron Man journey at different phases of the game as
Ooh,
well. Of like from the very beginning of like, oh, I trained crafting with charter ships and
yeah,
everything, and
yeah,
then it's been interesting to see the game evolve. And some things I agree with, some things I don't. But yeah.
yeah. Listen, okay, on the crafting thing, let me just ask, were you a player? Because what's so cute about, you see these players, if the average player sees somebody with a Zuck helm, they're like, they were born with a Zuck helm on, they've always been good. But when we trace back our history, I'm speaking for myself here as well, but like I see it with every single person on this game. Like, you're not born good at RuneScape. You just put in a bunch of hours and you focus in on PVM and stuff, and you just get better and better. So I need to ask you, with the sand and the charter ship hopping, were you one that banked the stuff, or did you just immediately blow it all there and then drop it?
Oh man, it was so long ago. I want to say like I feel like I did it in Port Phasmatis, and since
Yep.
like so I think I bought it there and then would just go to the furnace there and then would blow it and sell it back and repeat for like ever.
Oh, you didn't
Because
even have super glass make, or did you have
yeah,
lunars, or were you
oh
doing
no,
it like
maybe
this?
maybe I did. I don't know. It was so long ago.
Yeah,
Maybe I
no,
was
this
just too much. Like I was just such a noob at that point. I didn't even like realize that was a meta or anything. Like
yeah, yeah,
I was
yeah.
just like, I must have like maybe I just saw it in one man army or something and was like, this is the only way to do this, and just went and
Yeah.
fucking sent out 90 crafting and hated myself.
I the crafting grind, like I have this weird nostalgia and kind of like a just a fondness for crafting, because in the early days everybody hated crafting and I felt like that inner sort of hipster in me just wanted to like the things that everybody else hated. And so I learned to like really embrace that crafting grind, and I actually really enjoyed it. The only issue with it was the fact that I had to hop worlds all the time, and it made it so I could never keep up with the clan chat that was ongoing, because we were like in a brand new CC and everything, and everyone's talking about what they're up to, and I just felt like I couldn't contribute to the conversation at all, and that sucked, just like the hopping method. But other than that, I loved it, and I could just like really lock in, kind of like state of transit, basically just fully locked in. It was fun. So I was
Or you can be on the other end and someone else is doing it and like you're trying to PM them and it's just like unable to send message, unable to send. You're just like, holy shit, I don't even want to talk to you anymore, bro. Like this is so bad.
yeah, you're sending like a full on sentence that like hits the max, you know, length, and then you type it all perfectly, and you even have to like shorten down some words just to fit it all, and then he fucking isn't online for that split, you know, second that you send it, and it just doesn't even send, and you're like, I'm gonna fucking hurt somebody.
Like never mind, it's not important. Like it's fine.
Yeah. Terrible. They need to, that's a whole nother thing. We need to fix the goddamn chatting interface on this. I feel like just the DMs in general, that should be, they should somehow make it like a, I don't know if RS3 does this kind of thing, like sort of like a lobby thing where it doesn't matter if you're hopping worlds, you can still DM people. I don't know. I think that we have it really jank right now when it comes to like world hopping. The fact that you're offline briefly, that feels jank.
Yeah, that would be great if there was some kind of like pending state or something, so that if you send a message while someone's like, obviously if they log off and you send it, sure, but
Yeah.
if someone's world hopping, it just like it gets queued up, and then when they log, like,
Yeah.
I mean, something spaghetti code. I'm sure it's impossible for whatever reason, but that would be so nice. Yeah, you just, and then like it could show on your friends chat too, and just be like hopping or something like that.
I want to first start off this conversation with the video that you produced, which was basically talking, and I'll have it linked down in the description for people curious. You're talking about, and you can kind of go into more details because I might get this wrong, but sort of the way players perceive the game right now, and game updates in particular, and what's worth improving and what's worth updating. And you kind of bracket players into a conservative and a progressive mindset, not to be confused with like the political scene of it, but it's mainly just players that want to see the game more stable and more I don't know, just less change to it, and then people that are more on board for relatively more drastic changes if necessary. And I feel like obviously there's an extreme on that where people can just really want to tear the game apart and make it something completely new. But I feel like you bracketed them pretty, you know, evenly, and it really does. It felt like a good sort of distribution to kind of see like, all right, there's not a wrong or right viewpoint here. It's just simply this is the way people perceive the game updates and stuff. So let's jump into that a little bit. I guess you can kind of take me to the beginning of this concept and how you originally kind of came up with it, and just how you feel about it in general. And if I missed anything, you can sort of go into specifics.
Sure, yeah. So yeah, I feel like it's an idea that was kind of floating in my head like for a while, but I think it was actually from one of the casts that you did where you were talking about smithing rework, that it kind of like solidified what my thoughts were in my head. Let's see. So basically, the way I was kind of thinking of things is like, usually people, I don't know, internet discussion is always really, really weird, where it's like people are just going to disagree with each other and not give people the benefit of the doubt. But I wanted to try and like show my mental model of how at least I imagine different players think about the game in different ways. So in general, like you mentioned, you have like your standard conservative player that's going to they're going to value like emergent gameplay and not devaluing people's time and like keeping the purity of the game over new content. And on the other hand, you have more progressive players, which they view OSRS as more of like a living evergreen thing where like nothing's ever off the table, where it's like, for the smithing rework example, yeah, like it doesn't make sense that you should be able to, or that you have to wait until 99 smithing to make a rune plate body. We should change that because it would make more sense for the long-term health of the game and all this stuff. But I think a lot of the times when people are having discussions on like whether or not existing content should be adjusted, they kind of get stuck on just like solely the value proposition of the content being proposed. Exactly. So it's like player A will be like, this is really good, I'm going to give this a value like 10 out of 10. And player B is like, it's okay, I'm going to give it a value 5 out of 10. These are just like arbitrary random numbers. And I feel like a lot of the conversation is based off of that. But in my mind, I think there's like this other dimension that people don't talk about that much, which is like the length of time that a piece of content has been in the game. So in my video, I was kind of using the example of like something like sailing and adjusting something like boat combat. And even conservative players would probably be more open to changes in that. Even though it's existing content in the game that you're changing, they would probably like have a lower bar for accepting a change to that content than they would to a change to like a very core fundamental part of RuneScape, like smithing. So I guess like I showed it in my video, but it's a very simple like vibes based graph where the y-axis, like the vertical axis of the graph, is this like value where it's like it can be from 0 to 10 of like how much a player cares about value, and then the x-axis would be the amount of time that the content is in the game. So like smithing would be all the way to the right, and then new content being proposed to come into the game that doesn't exist already would be all the way to the left. And in my mind, there's like a line that kind of goes up and to the right, and it's not going to be the same line for everybody. Like for some people it will be very flat, for other people it will like kind of be all over the place. And I think obviously your opinions are your opinions and it's all going to be valid, but like that line will kind of indicate anything above it will be content that they would vote yes to, and anything below it would be content that they would vote no to. So it kind of like introduces a little bit of a deeper conversation saying like, okay, like in my mind for a smithing rework specifically, like if RuneScape was getting developed today, would I want it to be done differently? Like, yes, absolutely. It doesn't make any fucking sense. It's weird, but like the value prop of a smithing rework isn't quite high enough to justify like changing and like rewriting the history of the game, which is why I'm like a little bit against it. So that's just like one example of like how the amount of time that something could be in the game would like influence whether or not you'd actually want a change to come into the game. And it's not like a very linear like progressive versus conservative thing. I don't know if that made any sense. I just went on a big old ramble.
I'll have a visual pulled up during this segment as well for those to understand it a little bit more thoroughly. And if you guys are curious, it is a relatively short video. So if you guys want, in the description, check it out. It'll make a lot more sense when he's describing it. But yeah, it feels like, well, I want to get your perspective on it, and I'll also pull up the visual as well, because you have like the conservative and then you have the progressive, which is just sort of a more so the progressive is a lot more lower down because they just see things as being able to be updated even longer term. With conservatives, it's way up there, and if it's hits a certain amount of time, if they're on the extreme sort of conservative area, they are just like, nope, no matter what, do like never change this. And then you're somewhere kind of in the middle where you initially have this like higher like sort of entry point for new content, but then it immediately dips because you are willing to be, or you're just aware that an update has landed in the game, and at this point it's just a fact that it's in here, so why not make it the best piece of content we can? And then again, it just like a slow increase over time, which I feel like is the nuanced position that I would probably hold as well.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, so like that's my specific opinions, but I think other people might feel differently, where it's like they might have a lower bar for new content to come into the game because they could think like, oh, well, even if the content's okay, we'll have time to update it, so that's okay. But the way I kind of look at it is like, I don't want slop, like cough forestry, to get added into the game. So it's like my bar for like actually bringing in a new piece of content would be kind of high. But then, yeah, once, like you said, once it's in the game, like do what you need to do to make it good. It's like whatever it means, like if you have to make any drastic changes, then at that point I consider myself very progressive, where it's just like, even if you're devaluing people's time, if it's for the good of the game, you should do it because it's relatively new and all that stuff. And then, yeah, as time kind of goes on, you do that. I think like a good example of this is probably the leech fin sandwiches. Like I know they just failed a poll, but I was really on the fence of that and ended up voting no, even though I didn't like totally hate it, but I didn't like the idea of like preparation stations and everything. But it's like overall, I thought it would provide diversity to food and was like an okay proposal. But in my opinion, like it wasn't quite good enough for me to like totally get on board with it.
Mm-hmm. It just feels like added complexity where there is none currently is a slippery slope a little bit. Like adding more and more mechanics to just the way you're interacting with your food just feels jarring. Like why not add that complexity to like a prayer or something where it actually feels a little bit more like a PVM mechanic? I don't know.
Yeah. They already tried it with like Moonlight Antelopes, and I feel like no one really uses that. And that's an even simpler version of it. I'd like to heal over time.
And they design it in a poor way, in my view, because it punishes the player if you don't do it properly. And who wants to be punished for eating like a high level food? What I mean by that is like, if you don't allow that time to elapse between eating it and then getting that passive secondary heal, if you eat anything in between there, it just cancels out the secondary heal. So like it's one of those foods that like, yeah, I guess if you're doing a very chill piece of content where you're never wanting to combo eat or never wanting to eat something within another tick margin, then I guess it's good. But it's just, I don't know, it's a terrible design personally. Like in every single situation where I've brought that food, I am losing out on the potential extra HP heal because I'm just not thinking in the moment of like, oh yeah, I need to wait this many ticks for like that secondary heal to come and then I can eat another one. Like it's just not intuitive and nobody wants to deal with that. If it had just been the secondary heal will happen no matter what, that would be really powerful. I don't know why. I don't even know if there was anything like that was game breaking about that personally, other than maybe it tramples on anglerfish and mantas, I guess.
Yeah, it seemed a little bit odd to me. I don't know. It felt like it was just a little bit over engineered, and it was just like adding in complexity to a spot where like no one really wanted it. Like we all want more emergent gameplay and like more interesting things to do, but I don't know. Food is food. It's just like it'd be cooler to have interesting boss mechanics and like weapon switching and special attack usage, and like there's so many places that are very established that like people have a desire to do things differently. And then it's like, oh, but what if you ate this food? I don't know. Like it could have some cool use cases at like Duke and Vardorvis or places where there's chip damage, but I don't know. It just wasn't like a strong enough use case and felt overly complicated where I was just a little bit put off by it. It sounds like you were the same.
Yeah. I mean, I would be much more on board with, I don't know, almost like a food that just heals a lot into, I mean, literally the hunter food in concept, like that concept works, but quit punishing players for doing what they would normally do and eating another piece of food within a certain amount of duration. Like that just feels so stupid. If they were to come out with like a leech fin sandwich, but the whole point of it is like this food heals 30, but it heals 15 now, and then it heals 15, I don't know, 10 ticks later or something like that. And like it will heal no matter what. Like it just will do another 15. Like that's cool because in a lot of situations, you want the actual full, if you have Marlin, for example, you want that 24 heal right then. And you're not wanting to wait. And to cancel that out feels odd, or to have any other thing going on where it can get interrupted or you have to like wait now. I just feel like just stop it with that, in my view.
Yeah. To be honest, I've never even eaten a Moonlight Antelope. I don't think. I don't even know that's how it worked, where it like doesn't give you that. I'm looking at the
cancels
wiki right
out
now,
if you
like
do
that extra
anything in between it. Yeah. It's horrible.
Yeah, and that's just like it's like another piece of data to keep in your mind when you're already trying to like think of, oh, how's the boss moving? Where can I go to do this? And I have like my pots ticking down. Oh, I got my like 15-second overload that I want to like time up so I don't like my stats don't get to like all these things like that you can min max so much. And I don't want to think about like waiting 7 ticks to get another 12 HP. It's just Just let me heal, man.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, so again, sort of the complexity with PVM, I think at this point should be as simple as we can get it. I think there's something really charming about old school's just simplicity. Let me actually get your take on Ruinous Powers when that was first pulled, because that was very sort of split between the community. Like there's this high level community, this very small percentage of the player base that was actually like begging for it. Really, they just wanted anything with power increase at any cost, it felt like to me. And I just saw this new prayer book as like insanity. Like, why are we adding this when it's basically the same thing, but there's these awkward drawbacks that are just going to make you feel bad, and then it's just kind of more powerful in some situations. Like you're never going to want to revert to the other prayer book now because this one's just more powerful, but now it's just going to feel like shit everywhere you go because of like the downsides of it. I don't know. What were your thoughts on it?
Did it have like chip damage, or am I making that up? Where it's like the protection prayers like would reflect, but I don't even know.
Let me look it up because there was multiple variations of this, and in what I'm thinking of in my head right now was there was a sort of punishment to you. So let me see. It says right here, and I have it pulled up. Let's see.
Maybe that was like an old proposal or something, because I don't see it on the wiki page, right? Or maybe this is DMM only. I don't even know.
Well, yeah, let me see. Oh wait, this is for Ruinous Powers. But yeah, where was the
like the proposed
Ruinous Powers green light poll blog? Let's see this. Oh God.
Again, PTSD. There was so much discussion about it.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm looking right here. It's like community suggestions. There was going to be like protection prayers where, oh yeah, it doesn't fully give protection. It was like 90%
but it like
or something.
Yeah, so it's just like chip damage scape at that point.
Yeah.
So bring your hunter food.
Yeah, you're going to feel worse because you know you need to use this prayer book because it's more powerful. But now you're just always going to be taking chip damage, which is terrible. And then we were gonna add like skilling prayers and stuff, which again, like this stuff in theory without thinking about the practicality sounds just cool on paper. Like, oh my God, skilling prayers, that's gonna be interesting, and like more power with a drawback, that's really, you know, complex and interesting. But like you actually start using it and you're just wanting to, I don't know, pull your hair out. Terrible.
Yeah, I think when this was first proposed, like my gut reaction was I was like super hyped for it, because I mean, it was, everyone gets a little excited about power creep. You hear about a new item coming out and you're like, oh, think about how much that's going to help my DPS doing this or something. But like as time went on and I like thought about it more, I was just like, it's just like, so at least for the offensive prayers that they were proposing, it was just like so much power for doing so little. I don't even know. Was it like a quest or something? Oh yeah, it was for DT2 that I was going to get proposed for.
Yeah.
It was just like, okay, your DPS is going to go up by like a very significant margin, probably more so than any actual equipment upgrade that you can get by completing a quest. And like power creep is like so delicately balanced by the team, and it felt just like way too strong. And I think that's why they like didn't even pull it, because they realized people were probably going to vote yes because they want to hit big numbers. Yeah. And they were like, wait, we don't actually want this to come into the game, but if we pull it, it'll go through and then our hands are tied. So I think they made the right call, to be honest.
They did, because I mean, look at this. Like, I'm scrolling down. Let me just pull this up for you. I'm just scroll down to the bottom where it starts showing, you know, I'm like about 2/3 down, and it's showing like the 3 skilling prayers at the bottom. And like one says, while active, you have a chance to prevent a resource from depleting when harvested. Like you're going to be obligated to use prayers for all your farm runs now. While active increases
farm runs too. Oh my
chance while gathering. And so now with any hunter and wood cutting and fishing and mining, you have to turn on your prayer, and then ancient offer. And imagine like there's 2 prayer books now. So it's like if you're on the standard prayer book, which maybe nobody would be at this point if you had it, but now you have to deal with prayer book swapping, however that would work. You probably got to go to the fucking pyramid and switch it or something. So you're going to feel bad every time you're skilling without it. And of course, most people were not focused on that, but there was going to be some skilling elements to it. But then, yeah, you look at the offensive or, oh, no, yeah, here it is. The protection prayers is just, you're basically only getting protection of 90% damage, which
Yeah. Did
is
you get recoil on that though? Or wait, let me try to find it.
let me see.
Because, or maybe it was just like, oh, your DPS is increasing so much that this is the drawback.
Yeah, I
Like,
think that was it because there was a reflection prayer. Let me see what that one was.
oh, rebuke. Yeah, it reflects
That was it?
15% of damage taken, but it increases damage taken by 25%. So you're getting hit harder, but then you reflect some damage back. It's like when you start really reading into all of them, it just starts to feel really overwhelming. And you're just like, we're not simple anymore. Like,
Yeah,
chill.
way
It's
too
too
extreme.
much.
It's one thing. It's one thing to add rebuke as a new prayer. Already, just adding rebuke to the standard prayer book already sounds very overwhelming, low key. Like it does. It sounds very controversial. But like then you add on like 20 more prayers into an entirely new prayer book, and so all of a sudden it's everyone's like thumbs up, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, holy shit, this is terrible.
Yeah, rebuke in itself, like that's like 3 No Monkey videos, 4 Sae Bae casts. Like there's so much discussion that can happen, like because that's gonna affect every piece of content. Like where is it gonna be useful? Where is it not? Like how's your inventory gonna change? Like okay, like should you use it in Inferno? I don't know, maybe on these monsters and these waves, but not these. And it's just like, ooh, it's a lot.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize there were skilling ones too. That's crazy.
It was crazy, and there were multiple variations. So I want to be fair that they were trying to clean up some of them. I mean, I think the first look at it, this might have been the first look of it actually. I think as we started doing the beta tests and people realized when there wasn't, for example, I think originally there wasn't even like a redemption prayer on it. And then people are trying to run CMs with this, and they're like, "Well, CMs are fucking ruined because we can't do a tightrope skip because we don't have redemption." So then they just like kind of threw on this like
they just
redemption.
added it.
Yeah, I'm like, this is so dumb.
Yeah, I think overall, like I would love to see more prayers added. Like I think like something I would love for raids 4 would be a new, maybe not like turmoil. I don't even know how OP that was, but like an upgrade to piety, which I'm sure is a pretty lukewarm take. Like I think people have probably talked about that before, but it feels like a reasonable spot where you can just boost it up a little bit, and that's really exciting. And we don't need to like completely reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, in fact, let's switch gears right now and just talk about, you have a raids 4 idea. Was that it? Was it just a simple offensive prayer? Do you have other ideas as well?
Oh, that was not it. Yeah, I can definitely talk about that.
Well,
sorry, I also feel like we kind of completely brushed over the video. It's one of those things where I feel like it's a little bit hard without a visual to talk about, but I didn't mean to like completely derail that whole conversation.
No, don't feel bad. I mean, this is exactly the formula of a Sae Bae cast. We just jump all over the place. So, but again, for those wanting like the full breakdown, the video is down there, and I'm sure extra views over there would be appreciated. So yeah, anybody listening right now, if you want to get the full breakdown, go over there. Let me, I guess before, well, unless you had anything on that video, did you want to?
No, not really. I just said that, but I didn't even have a follow up. I was just like, oh man, I feel bad. I feel like I didn't even talk about it. But yeah, I don't know if you have any specific questions about it or anything.
It just, I think it illuminated to me that you are thoughtful about what's happening. And I think there will be more tie-ins throughout the conversation kind of relating to that, especially as we start talking about updates and reworks and stuff. So I'm sure it'll have,
that is very true.
Some additional insight on it. So before I ask you about the raids 4 idea you have, let me just talk about that offensive prayer that you just hinted at, which again, I don't even think it's like perfect body temperature take in my view. Not even it's just like, it's just perfectly like neutral.
It just feels right. Yeah,
it's just okay. We have the same powerful offensive prayer that we've had since the beginning of old school, which is a quest reward, pretty mid-level quest, Knight's Train or King's Ransom into Knight's Training Ground. You get piety, and we've had that now for 13 years, and so why not have just an additional offensive prayer that's, in my view, it could be level 90. It could even be level 85 prayer. But just something that, and let me get your take on this, just in regards to numbers. In my view, we see a jump from chivalry to piety. Everything goes up by 5%. And in my view, this, additional offensive prayer that would be better than piety would have the same formula of just 5% better. So the 23% strength would go up to 28%. The 20% attack would go up to 25% attack, and the defense would go from 25% to 30%. Do you feel like that's too low, or do you think that's fair? What is your take on that?
it sounds really fair. Like it'd be interesting to run some DPS calcs and see like how much that actually increases your max hit and everything. But you don't want it to be too small, like especially if it's going to be a raids reward or something. You don't want it to just be like, oh, you get a max hit sometimes in this like one specific setups if you take Torva legs instead of Oathplate legs, something like that. So 5% feels like a fair place where it's probably going to give you maybe a couple max hits everywhere, so it feels really impactful. Yeah, that feels right. What do you think about the drain rate of the prayer? Should it be more than piety?
Yeah. I just slightly. It doesn't need to be anything crazy. I think the fact that you are having to grind, because the way I also would like to see prayer scrolls is more of an untradeable type thing. I'm still okay with it being tradable in a way. Just but if they wanted to revert how they are treating these sorts of like prayer upgrades, I think it would be appropriate to just say this is like a one-time unlock you do, and maybe it's even like sort of like a dry protection thing because it's untradeable, where as soon as you've completed 10 of the raids for it, you just automatically get it. So there's not like this huge thing where like people have to fucking grind like 300 or 400 of these raids to finally go 7 times the rate of their untradeable drop. I think a dry protection could actually work in that situation, which would feel more fair. And it doesn't feel like too powerful where because one of the things I'm concerned of is like people really wanting that power creep, like just inserted in their veins, where it's like, now make this like 10 or 15% better or something, like just super radical. And I'm like, dude, if you do that, everyone's going to feel like shit if they don't have it. I just want something that's just a little bump, just something. Because I feel like Eagle Eye to Rigor was massive, and it feels like shit when you don't have Rigor. And then they added a middle ground with Deadeye, which felt a little bit better. But like for a while there, it was like, dude, if you don't have Rigor, you're just not doing great damage. And that's
it's like you should drop everything and go do it. Like once you get to a certain point, I don't know, because it's like, and don't people say that it's like more impactful than like a Tebow? Maybe that's fake. I doubt
no,
it's because it scales so crazy. Like you just absolutely need to get it.
Yes. They would say that is more impactful on an account like Rigor would be than like a Tebow. That's very debatable. I think most people just when they see that might just be everything else. Yeah, they're like, I'd take a Tebow, but yeah.
I think the untradeable thing is interesting. I've never really thought about that. In my mind, I was just thinking it would be like the same kind of scroll situation as Chambers. But I kind of like that because it would like, for all accounts and not just irons, it would create like a very cool reason to like rush a raid a little bit, even a little bit too early, especially like a hard raid like raids 4 is supposed to be, and just like do it a little bit, or like, I don't know, just try to dip your toes in the water and get like a really, really nice upgrade that you can't just buy and use.
Yeah. And it feels good as well. Like, so for example, Piety has a 70 defense requirement and 70 prayer requirement. Let's just say this one was like an 85 level prayer and 85 defense requirement. Like that's a pretty hefty requirement for Ironman to get to 85 prayer. I know we have like Chaos Altar and all the bone shards that are flooding into the game and stuff, so it's a little bit easier these days, but like, which is a great thing, by the way. I have to throw it out there. I think the Chaos Altar was a band-aid fix, and the Unsouled Heads and the bone shards and everything was actually a more positive change to the game, and like the Ash spell and stuff, that was a much better approach than just doubling it overnight by being in the wilderness.
Yeah, that place is crazy. And like the bone shards too. I sacrificed bone shards for the first time during leagues, and I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. This is nicely balanced content.
It is. But yeah, what do you think about like a 85 level-ish base for defense and for prayer as well, and then make it like the prayer drain just slightly more? I don't even want it to be like egregious where it feels bad to use. I just want it to be like another, I don't know, prayer point every several seconds over Piety.
Yeah, I think maybe a little bit more would be reasonable. I'd honestly be okay with the drain rate being the same. Like I don't think it would matter too much. Like either way, your prayer is going to drain kind of fast, and you're just always going to be using this prayer no matter what. I think for level wise, I would say 85 minimum. And I think that's important because it keeps Piety at least a little bit relevant in terms of gear progression. Like Chivalry will always be dead, but like Chivalry's even more dead because by the time that you actually get 60 prayer, then you like do the training grounds and King's Ransom and you're at like 68 prayer, and you're just like, okay, I'm just gonna pause everything, go get 70, and never use chivalry in my entire account. But if it's 85, then it's like it would be like piety would be a reasonable stopping point until you make some more money to buy bones, or like you have a better method on an iron to actually grind out prayer, and then eventually like you do actually use that for some PVM for a while, and then you hit the next part.
Yeah. And then, of course, in the far future, we could have an upgrade to Rigor and Augury, maybe 5 years from now or something. Just a little bump up, you know, potentially.
Grades 5. Ooh, I don't know. That'd be a little spicy.
In the year 2031 or something, I think it would be I think we'd be due at that point. And then you could shoot those ones up to like, I don't know, 89 prayer and 93 prayer, or maybe 92 would feel more appropriate because it goes from 70, 74, 77. So yeah, 89 and 92-ish for the mage one. I don't know. That like this is the more simplified version. I feel like there could easily be disagreements, and I could easily be swayed as well into like just a different path. I think something about that familiarity of just like, here's the new offensive prayers. There's no gimmicks to it. It's just power. I think that's fine to have vertical power progression in prayers for the most part.
Yeah, I agree. Another prayer idea I've had at some point was like, we have like rapid heal. What about like rapider heal or like giga heal or something?
Yes.
So instead of like 2 HP every minute, you get like 6 or 8 HP every minute, and it actually like becomes useful, and it's like an actual decision that players make of being like, do I want to sacrifice prayer for healing over time, or do I want to not do that and like bank on like having good skills, my prayer flicking or something? And I feel like if it's balanced right, it like with the drain rate and everything, it could make for like a pretty interesting gameplay style. And then it's also like a bit of a solve for chip damage for like good players.
Yeah. I mean, they could even, with that suggestion, one of the problems with like a rapid heal is so often you're turning off your prayer, and a lot of people are using quick.
Oh yeah.
So if you ever touch that, it's like you're actually losing HP by ever using it because it keeps resetting the timer.
Yeah, I don't even know what they could do about that, but that is, or if you're trying to like one tick prayer flick or something, yeah, you can just your prayer is never going to go up and it just feel really bad.
One of the like a solution, I don't know how the engine would handle this, but like a solution would be maybe categorize your prayers. This would be a little bit of a radical change, but just have the ones like protect item or preserve or rapid heal, and the other one, the stat restore or whatever. Like you can have all those in like an upper panel where those are like ones that are not affected by quick prayers or anything, and you just select them on and they're on, and it has a very, very, very low drain rate, and you can just sort of turn them on as freely as you want. And then it also doesn't reset the timer. That would be another engine work thing where like you can turn it off even if you're like a tick before it upticks, and it just actually calculates it properly and still gives you that additional HP boost once it normally would have ran the timer, I guess, if that made any sense whatsoever.
No, that does make sense. I would love that, but then this is why like being a Jags that would be so hard. You have that one use case in rope skipping in chambers where like you're really counting on turning on rapid heal at the correct time to get your health to tick up as you cross the tightrope, and that would just get broken.
That's a good point.
Okay, it's just like always gonna be one little thing.
Yeah. Okay, so don't have it so when you turn it off. Have it so when you turn it off or turn it on, it does do that, but it's not affected by quick prayer. So it is like a separate sort of section on the prayer book where it acts totally normally as it does, but it's not being affected by you one tick flicking and other things.
Yeah, I think that'd be really good. I'm trying to think of like how it could actually look in the UI with like WoW making sense. It's like, oh, would you like lock a prayer or something? Or maybe it's just as simple as like when you're actually turning off your quick prayers, it only turns off. I don't know. I was going to say it only turns off the prayers that you have active. That sounds very difficult. I'd be like really interested to get like a designer's take on how that can actually look and make sense.
For some reason in my head, I'm looking at my prayer book right now. I'm thinking like, again, people are reordering their prayers. I think the customizability of reordering prayers is something we should absolutely keep and stuff, and just full freedom of moving things wherever you want is cool. But
yeah,
if the traditional layout was something like the upper section with like the top 5 prayers, that kind of had a bar beneath those first 5, and like that's like sort of your header where it's showing here's the prayers that are not affected by quick prayers, and they're always just right there lined up. So you'd have like your protect item and your preserve and your rapid heal and stuff, rapid restore. You'd have it all right there where they can easily be flicked on and off. And then you have a line that's showing all the other ones that are affected by quick prayers. And so if you're ever adjusting quick prayers, those are on, those are flickering on and off, but the other ones are permanently stable. And you could, maybe there could even just be an opt-in, opt-out option, like in your settings, where it's like, I want the old way or I want this new way, where it can actually work. And again, this would all be only really necessary if we actually did buff rapid heal and stuff, which I do think would be cool.
Yeah, that feels like a pretty clear line to draw. It's like you could just say any prayers that adjust your stats or are an overhead, like they can get toggled with quick prayers, and then everything else that can be considered like utility prayers and won't get turned off with quick prayers. That feels kind of reasonable. I'd be interested to hear. I'm sure there's some downside to it somewhere, but it feels like it could be nice.
So let's talk about raids for reward ideas now. What do you have in mind?
Yes, I feel like I was really late to the party because I was like, I don't know, it was maybe a month ago or something. I started just like going on a massive brainstorm of being like, oh, it would be so cool to just like design a whole reward space. But that was like after Reddit was flooded with mega rare ideas, like 6 posts every single minute or something like that. But so I have like a couple ideas. Like I was definitely thinking about prayer scrolls a little bit, but the idea that I'm most excited about is it's an attachment, which is a little bit scary to say, but it's basically, I'm calling it, okay, I just like pulled up my notes. I'm calling it the Seal of the Edicts. And the idea is that it would be the most common reward from raids 4. And it's basically just like a postage stamp or something that you like slap on a blessing, and then it turns that blessing into a sealed blessing. And then it basically just gives better stats. And just like before getting into the stats specifically, I really like it because like there's a number of reasons. One is that it's the most common reward. So if you're a main grinding this piece of content, like having it have multiple uses in like different weapon setups and everything, it's gonna keep the price, I would assume, generally high, even though it's the most common item. And then if you're an iron, duplicates don't feel like shit because like you get your third one, you're like, oh cool, now I'm gonna make my sealed Zamorak blessing because I don't have that one yet, or like whatever order you want to go in. So I feel like it's like a cool way to keep duplicates good instead of just like, oh great, my 7th Avernic, I guess I'll just alk that or something like that. But yeah, that's like the overall thought. Okay, this I go back and forth on a lot. Let me okay, I think one that was inspired by, I think, a conversation that I heard you have at some point was making thralls not hit 0. Did you talk with someone about that recently?
Yes.
Okay, I really like that, and I calced it out. So that's basically like, because thralls are 1.5 DPS right now, so it would bring thralls up. Oh wait, no, sorry. Thralls average 1.5 damage per hit, which is 0.65 DPS. And if now instead of 0 to 3, they hit between 1 and 3, you average 2 damage per hit, and then your DPS is 0.83. So it's basically like a raw DPS increase of 0.2 when your thrall is hitting, which is like surprisingly impactful. I don't know, like there's a lot of places where you're only doing like 7 DPS or something. So it sounds really, really minimal. And then, yeah, I feel like it'd just be like a nice little perk that you could have. And I don't know, I kind of went through them all. It's like Guthix could give you more prayer than a Corrend blessing. Like Zami could give you like plus 10% accuracy on special attacks, which could be useful for places where it's like really important to hit a hammer or something. Let's see, Sarah blessing, I was saying +1 flat armor, but that might be too strong. But I was having trouble like thinking of places where it would be broken, so maybe it's not that strong. But I also don't know if blessing slaw is the right place to actually introduce flat armor. War blessing, I said +2 strength, which I think is just like the de facto very strong one. Like that's kind of the chase that irons would want to go for initially, just being like, this is the first thing I'm going to use my first seal on, and then everything else after that is going to be pretty minimal. And then the last one, honorable blessing, I just said additively increase ammo preservation by 5%, which is like really, really small, but it would basically, what's quiver, like 80% ammo retention. So I think it would make it 85, and that could be useful for like saving dragon ammo in some places, but that would probably be a weaker one. those are very like wishy-washy. I'm kind of still thinking, but those are my current propositions. But it's more like the overall design of having one item go into 6 different items that I thought sounded pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think just in regards to the flat armor one with Ceradomin, I think something that would be more reasonable and not as maybe impactful would be something like 5% of incoming damage just gets fully negated. So every 20 attacks that are incoming on you, whatever it hits, it just completely slashes to 0. It's totally random, so you can never bank on it. But every 20 hits coming in, just you completely slash it, takes a 0. So it's sort of like just a defensive thing. It could, you could up it to 10%. I think that gets a little worrisome potentially with like places like Inferno. But even if it's like 5%, I mean, just knowing if you have this blessing on, let's just say you tank a Zuck hit or something, or a Jad hit, and it just happens to be that 5% of the time where it just fully negates it. That would be a cool.
That'd be so hype.
That would be a cool effect, and even if it has like a little like glow underneath, like a blue glow that's showing that it procced, sort of like an Ellie when it procs, it has the little glowy things around the shield.
This is funny because this is like one of the effects of, I think it was like the Fremenic League reward. It was a helmet, and then 5% of the time it would negate damage, and that is supposed to be like the echo item big thing to get in Fremenic, and we're talking about this like it's like a very, very tiny thing, which just goes to show how bad that item was.
Yeah, I mean, defense is just never the move to take in almost any situation. But for the noobs and for people that are intimidated and learning new content, it doesn't have to be noobs. I mean, fuck it. If I was running up to, if I somehow pulled this stamp and or the seal or whatever you're going to call it, and put it on my blessing, like my Sarah blessing, and went for my first Infernal Cape on my hardcore, I'd fucking rock that all day. I don't want extra thrall damage in that situation. I want the 5% negation. That'd be cool. So
it definitely would have uses. Yeah. And then that idea also kind of eliminates any potential broken use cases where it's like you're tanking a bunch of monsters that would normally do a bunch of ones or something, and it's just like 0 damage.
It eliminates them.
Yeah, I can't think of anything off the top of my head about like what that could be, but I'm sure there's stuff out there where this could be very broken.
Mm-hmm. And personally, this is my personal take. I think when I'm looking at the equipment tab, the Warren equipment tab, I would love personally to just see a dedicated blessing slot right above the cape slot. So the ammo slot is always dedicated ammo, and then if you're wearing a quiver, you always have dedicated 2 ammos, and then right left to your head would be where the blessing slot always is. So you can always rock a blessing. I think that low-key would feel great. I think just going forward, it sucks when you're ranging and you don't have a quiver yet, and you have to you just can never use a blessing. So that would suck. I think the dedicated blessing slot would be interesting. Any thoughts on that? Any downsides?
Yeah, I've actually never like thought of that. I really like that. I think I've definitely heard thoughts about like, oh, should we get like a belt slot or like an aura slot or something like that? And that always worries me because it's, I don't know, it feels too not OSRS. But
yeah,
I like the idea of that, and because especially if Jagex eventually goes down the path of giving like having more unique types of blessings besides just here's +1 prayer or here's a Gommel's lucky penny that is just very, very mid. You can never really make a range blessing because in that case it only ever works if you have a quiver. So it's just like,
yeah,
not that good.
Yeah, so I think if it were up to me, I would love that, just a dedicated slot right there for blessings. Also, when you mentioned the Thrall blessing, that like Thrall enhancement, I mean, don't get me wrong, I hate it when Thralls hit 0s, but beyond that, I think it would be interesting to have an effect. And you may have heard this, because the actual suggestion I was thinking was one of the most tilting things you can experience is when you hit a 0 on a monster that has like 2 HP left, and then your Thrall also hits a 0 when it has 2 HP left, and you're just sitting there like, why the fuck hasn't this thing died yet? So if they could somehow code, which I'm sure is definitely feasible, to code it so whatever you're targeting, like the enemy you're targeting, if it has 3 HP or lower and you have a Thrall out, the Thrall will hit it will hit that 3 or that 2 or that 1, whatever HP it has left. It will always maximum hit that. So Thralls become a Giga Chad sort of like tool to use for those monsters that just won't die at the very end. And it's just very tilting to like spend an additional 10 ticks hitting 2 zeros at the end. And your thrall is also hitting zeros. So I think that sort of guaranteed nature of only when a monster is in that threshold of 3 HP or lower, the thrall will max hit.
Dude, I can hear the Inferno speedrunners like salivating at that. Like the amount of times you see like you like do a 39 to a blob and you move on to something else and you just see the thrall from a distance just plop a zero and you're like, oh my god.
Dude, it's still this is actually where it stems from. I was watching Inferno speedrunners and it's so annoying when your thrall's sitting there hitting zeros against stuff that have 1 HP left. And it's like, dude, this is a simple change that would feel so good, and it doesn't even do anything crazy to the DPS. Just having like a flat up, now they can't hit zeros, which I still believe in. I think they should have never even come out with thralls that hit zeros. They literally are 100% accurate and they can roll zeros. It's just like, why are you here?
I'd rather just be 1 and 2, and then it's the same DPS. Just make it 1 and 2.
Exactly. But even if it just bumped up to 1 and 3, it's 1 through 3. It's like I'd be okay with that too. Loki, like I know people are always. I'm the one that's like fear mongering about power creep for the most part, as a creator in the space. I feel like most people aren't as concerned about it, and this is one of those things where it's like I will choose the power creep when it feels good. I don't want to see a thrall ever hit a zero. It's not cool. It's not a good feeling.
Yeah, that's fair. This game is so much about like emotional feeling. It's just like the feeling you get when you like animation stall something or like do something tick perfect. It's like it's not all like a lot of the times we just like bring stuff down to just numbers, but at the end of the day, like if content feels good, like that is important and should be considered.
Absolutely.
One thing to bring up with this idea though is like I do think that the idea of making blessings like an actual useful equipment slot, it's kind of a tightrope to walk because you don't want to go back to 9-way switches. Like you can't make these blessings so good that when you gear switch, you want to change blessings, because like we just fixed that with Avernic Treads. So like that's something to keep in mind that I think makes it kind of hard to balance. So that's why I think you don't want it to be like too powerful, and maybe there's like different utility, but the only one I can think of that I suggested of like needing a switch would be like, oh, you're doing Tob and then you switch from your War Blessing to your Zamorak Blessing when you want to spec because you get more accuracy. But I don't know. Like I'm sure, but that's just like a little bit of a concern. You don't want to go back to the 9-way switch because everyone was really happy, myself included, going back to the beautiful 8-way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would actually be that big of a deal because the problem with the 9-way switch is like if you're in any sort of tribrid fight, like you just see Fasanis. And now you're forced, when they buffed Eternals, you now need to bring your Eternals if you have like a Shadow and stuff, and you got to bring your Prims, obviously. The issue with that was you're always constantly switching it. But if it was simply, okay, equip this blessing for this spec, it's the beginning of the fight, and then I'll switch back to my other thing. That doesn't feel as like, yes, it is extra clicks. It's extra like inventory you have to bring, but that is just a choice on your end. That's not, it doesn't have this more like drawn out implication for the rest of the fight. It's just like, yeah, I'll switch it on right here, then I'll just switch it on, and then maybe I even have like duplicates, or maybe it is just an untradeable blessing that I bring it in, now I'm just gonna drop it, and we got what I wanted out of it or something. I don't know if they'd be droppable in that sense or like destroyable, but
yeah, I guess that makes sense. It wouldn't be like tied to a specific like damage. It wouldn't be like, oh, this is my mage blessing, my range blessing. Like I think if you released like this blessing's +2 strength, this one's +2 range, this one's +2 magic, I think that would be a much bigger option because then you feel that obligation to be like, oh, I'm losing out on so much DPS unless I bring this fucking blessing switch, which sounds so weird.
And this doesn't sound like the way forward, but I want to hear your take on this. What if you had to actually go to like a shrine in order to imbue yourself with the blessing? So you bring it over there, you imbue it, and now when you're at a piece of content, you don't even have the option to just switch freely between them. It's like you haven't been like imbued with it, because every time you want to switch a blessing, you have to go to this certain physical location to actually do it. And maybe it could just be a shrine in your POH, so it's like you just go to your POH, click the shrine that's maybe even attached to your pool. I know they've done that with the fairy ring and the spirit tree all in one. It's like, what if your Ornate pool also had like the sort of like shrine that we're like, okay, I want to imbue with this blessing, and now going forward, it's a non-inventory issue. It's not going to have any effect on that because it's just on me, and there is 0 point of switching because it's not going to do it. It's just going to lose my effect ultimately.
Okay, so you're saying like instead of it just being equipable stats, it's like you need to equip it and then have it like locked or whatever, or like, yeah, you have like light pour over you from this blessing and then you're imbued with that power or something.
Yeah, and then even if you unequip it and re-equip it, you still have that imbue. It's only whenever you want to switch it, then you'd then you'd have to go re-imbue it with that effect. But yeah, you could freely like take it off and on. So if you're at your bank and you unequip it, you don't have to go re-shrine up. You're just already imbued with that unless you ever want to switch it.
I feel like when you first started saying that, I was like, what the hell? No way. But it kind of makes sense, and it gives you a way to like actually make things powerful without making players feel forced to bring a million switches. Yeah. So I think there's like, I don't know, there definitely seems like there's like a little bit of something good in there that I feel like could be reasonable. I think my main worry would be like, you don't want to, I guess it's kind of already a thing with switching spell books, right? Like making players go to their POH all the time to like switch out their blessings.
And if it's at your POH and it's not at a you don't have to run through a goddamn pyramid to like go there. It's just, you're already at your POH anyway. Whenever anybody gears for anything, they usually go to their max POH, hit their pool, hit their spellbook altar, hit their whatever they're doing, hit their dummy to get max prayer or whatever. It's like, it's all there. You probably have a plugin that's flashing that's like, hey, adjust your fucking blessing. It's not equipped on the right thing. But again, the only reason I bring this up, because I understand it's an extra hurdle, but the only reason I bring it up is because, yeah, I want these blessings to have some reasonable effect. And in a raid, for example, you could have the dude that's bringing the war blessing. He's like, hey, I'm the war guy. I'll spec first. Yeah. Everyone else could go in. It's like, okay, thank you for doing that. I'm going to max out with my thrall. Thank you. And I feel like it kind of has that extra choice in the matter.
Yeah, without like everybody bring the spec blessing.
Like if you don't bring all 4 of these blessings, you're trolling. Yeah. Like I don't want that, you know.
And then you have to go and grind out like 4 of that same unique from the raid. It's like, oh god, that sounds horrible. Wait, no.
Yeah. So just tossing it out there into the idea space. I think that could be an interesting way forward.
Yeah, for sure. That was my main reward. Like I don't really have any other like super well thought out rewards. But I thought that was a kind of a cool idea.
So I actually just had Mod Goblin on the cast, as I mentioned. I don't know when these are going to be published exactly. So for those listening and they're like, wait, you had Mod Goblin when? It might be after this one. So I was talking to him because for the longest time, I've been very fixated on a fast attacking mega rare. So just like a melee weapon that can attack at either like a 2-tick or 3-tick speed. It just offers, one, it allows you to slightly trample on something like the scythe. Now, if this was like a crush based weapon, it wouldn't quite trample on it. But with raw DPS on paper, you actually could have a raids 4 melee weapon that actually does outclass a scythe. But it would have the drawback of literally every tick you miss has a much heftier consequence in DPS loss than it would for, you 6-ticking a scythe, for example. You 3-ticking a 2-tick weapon is terrible DPS, 50% DPS loss right there. So I have always been sort of fixated on that because it feels like the true power you can get from something should be a skill to actually utilize properly. With everything being hella slow, it's just very easy for people that are very inexperienced with PVM to get insane power out of it. And as soon as you make it like, okay, every tick you lose is a huge DPS loss, that makes it kind of like just adds some diversity. However, and that was sort of the preamble to all this, I still like that, but Behemoth covered a Reddit post, which I fucking fell in love with immediately, which was this new 2-handed stab weapon that looks like a Dark Souls sword, just this massive, hefty broadsword that you're lunging into people with 2 hands. And the coolest effect about it was the fact that you can parry attacks using your special attack orb. So you'd basically be able to counter attacks. It has to be a tick perfect precision special attack. So you click the special attack when something's about to attack you, it would cost what they mentioned, and this is all subject to balancing, but I thought what they suggested was a pretty good balancing already, was like it's a 60% spec that you're using to parry. So you can't just use it nonstop like a parry prayer or anything where it just becomes exhausting. This would be simply a special attack weapon that absorbs all the incoming damage that's about to be blown to you, which is melee. It must be melee based, and it reflects it all back plus your attack. So, and it can even have like an additional, you know, like 20% extra damage as well with this. So you have this insanely powerful greatsword that now has this parry mechanic that it's a 60% special attack, but if you perfectly do it, you actually recover 20% more. So it only ends up being a net 40% spec, but you need the 60% to actually like execute on it. And then if you mess up, you still, you know, just attack how you normally would. And this would be something sort of like a Gmaul as well. So like it has that Gmaul effect where it can just instantly be used. So, you know, you like the tick prior, you could have attacked with it, and then the incoming monster is about to attack you and you instantly parry it. You deal the same damage you would with a normal attack plus the reflected damage back, plus you don't take any damage. I thought that was fucking cool as heck, and I want it so bad.
I love the idea of like feeling so confident that you take off your prayer and go stand right in front of the boss you're killing and just be like, go ahead, hit me like 100, please. And you just like time it up and you probably just feel so gangster. Like that's so sick. But then the noob goes and tries it and just like gets clapped and everyone's laughing.
Yes, it's fucking brilliant. It's so skill based and it's addictive probably to do it. You don't need to. You can still bring your burning claws if you just want and just never use this as a spec. It would just be a main hand powerhouse, you know, maybe slightly less than a scythe's power, you know, but something that's highly accurate or something. And so in some situations, it would already be like a nice main auto weapon that you're just using. But you're also, if you're willing to risk it, this thing would be a fucking demon when it comes to speccing stuff because there's just so much power being reflected back. And this, again, would have to be PVM only. This could not be introduced into PvP. That would be
big avenge, yeah. Like ABS, like
imagine venging
kind of avenge, yeah.
yeah. Avenge plus like recoil plus whatever the hell is going on, and then on top of you using this spec and then recover. Let's just say, you know, it was a 40%. So you would, I need to paint this out for those. Like, I'm just thinking.
No, I can picture the Tormesta thumbnail right now, dude.
I'm just thinking to myself, like, you just attacked with the greatsword. You dealt like a fucking 60. Plus, he attacks on that very next tick, which you parry, and you deal, you know, 20% extra. So you just dealt like a 70. On top of any damage that was incoming to you gets reflected back on him, which is like a 40, plus the vengeance, which is like a 30, plus the recoil, which is like another 5. It's like you just dealt like 250 HP to him like instantly, like holy. And then you Gmaul at the end because it only took 40% spec. So you Gmaul him again right after. Just fuck him up. Yeah, that would be insane.
It sounds OP, but I feel like it would also, if something like that did exist, it would like make a whole nother level. Because I don't know if you like watch Otoblock or something. He's always like waiting a tick or something to like time up venges and everything. Mm-hmm. So it's like adding in that other dynamic of like trying to time when your opponent's gonna tick, and then you catch him out and just you just one bang him. Oh, that would be sick. I'm not skillful enough to do that, but that'd be cool.
That'd be terrifying. But again, if it's excluded from PvP, we can focus on the PVM encounters where it would be good. And again, like this, it wouldn't trample on everything. It wouldn't be something you bring everywhere. It'd be stab based, exclusively stab based as well. You couldn't even, well, maybe you could have a slash option that's just terrible because you're just hacking away at stuff. It'd be mostly stab. But the other cool thing is like, you couldn't just use this with any encounter. You can't do it with projectiles at you. However, I would love to see a sort of parry shield effect. So like you could have a shield that, you know, if you tick perfect, do the special attack on a shield, potentially that reflects projectiles. That's something in the future we could talk about. But for the most part, I think incoming melee attacks, which is, you know, some amount of monsters out there, this would be a really cool weapon to use against it.
I think that I really like that idea specifically, and I think that general direction of mega rares feels like a pretty natural, good place to go. Like we've covered the basics of like the simple 5 tick super overpowered weapon, and now it feels reasonable to be like, okay, let's make something that's more situational and just like busted OP, but you can't like just sit there and swing massive numbers. So yeah, maybe like what this is, where it takes skill to use. It's a special attack, and it's really good on its own too. But it's not just like straight up outclassing a scythe or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have a link to that Reddit post? I haven't seen that. I really want to look at that.
I don't even remember what it was called, but let me link you just the behemoth. Actually, if I find the behemoth video.
Okay. I just exposed myself as a non-behemoth watcher. Oh no.
No, that's fine. I wasn't a behemoth watcher for a while. I felt like I was just exhausted from all the goddamn news and clips and stuff. But I'm kind of like getting back into the watching the daily highlights.
Yeah. Okay. I'll have to like look. I'm sure I could find it by their thumbnails or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I just need to see if I can find it really quick. Just because. And again, like I think I kind of added my own twist to it a little bit. But it was mostly talking about that. Okay, where is this thing? I need to find this.
Yeah, but anything with a parry mechanic, that sounds cool. But it needs to be done in such a way where it's like not completely redefining like combat in old school. But I think tying parrying into a special attack is cool because it makes it kind of optional, and it's just not going to be like super overpowered or something you feel like you have to do for every single attack or something like that. That'd be crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll have to find it later. I know Behemoth covered it, but I'm just struggling to find it at the moment. But I'll link you it at some point.
Okay.
Alrighty. But yeah, so to sort of wrap things up with the raise 4 ideas, I guess in my ideal world, it would be, a new melee prayer. I love your blessing slot idea. That would be fucking cool to see. That would take I don't know if we'd even be able to see something like that because it feels like it needs more sort of like groundwork to like add an additional blessing slot. And that would have to be pulled and, kind of get the community on board. But new offensive melee prayer, new weapon like that great sword or like a fast attacking weapon. And then I'm thinking this is something, again, I talked with Mod Goblin about, and I'll keep it somewhat brief, but basically like an assassin's armor. So a new melee 3-piece armor set that's basically like wearing cloth, but it has the best in slot strength bonus of any armor. So it's like maybe 2 additional strength above Torva per piece. So an additional 6 strength, but you don't have like any defensive stats with it whatsoever. So it doesn't feel like a strict upgrade where it's just vertical progression. It's like a sort of horizontal that could be really cool to use in some situations, but in others it's like, nope, I don't want to be wearing rags. And that, I don't know how I feel quite about it. It's somewhere where I'm kind of in the middle ground of like, I don't even know if this would be a good thing to wear because I don't want it to feel like again, like the ruinous powers where it's like there's this massive trade-off. It just doesn't feel good.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I feel like thematically it kind of makes sense, or not thematically with the raid, but just like as a next step, it makes sense. But I kind of worry that you would bring you to the point where you feel like you have to bring it everywhere.
Yeah.
And then like you're doing Soat at top or something, and it's like, even though you're praying melee, it's just like ripping you 20s over and over again if you don't do a step back at the right time. And so, but it's like, oh, but it's strictly better DPS. I feel like I have to do it. I don't know. Yeah,
I think
I don't have a better idea for an armor set. I mean, we need some kind of armor set. I feel like there's gonna be something, but I don't have any good ideas.
Yeah, it's a little tough because I think it's mostly a psychological problem. Like for the player psychologically, now if you're rolling up with Torva or Oathplate, you're always gonna have in the back of your mind that sick feeling of like, God damn it, like maybe I should have brought the assassin's
I'm a little
armor here.
bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then whenever you're bringing the assassin's armor, you feel cool because you're using it, but then every bit of your gameplay just suffers because there's way more damage being taken and everything else, and it's just not as, and it doesn't feel like it maybe is good enough armor. And then like in situations where you're just doing normal melee slayer or something, like you're just always going to be using this assassin's armor kind of, and then it's going to be like, fuck, I kind of wanted to wear my blood Torva or my shiny new oath plate that I have, and now I can't even use that because I got to like use this in every situation. It just kind of like splits, just like your armor set. Which I don't even know if that feels good for old school. Like in other games, it might work, but here I think there is something psychologically sort of pleasing to players. That's like, this is what you wear. That's it. End of discussions. The best in slot. It's got great defensive stuff, got great everything. And I don't know, but I think psychologically speaking,
it's really nice to just be like this. I plugged into the DPS calculator. This is BIS. I'm wearing BIS. I feel good about the fact that I'm wearing BIS. And then you move on and don't think about it. I almost wonder, this might sound counterintuitive, but I wonder if like negative flat armor on this assassin's armor would almost make that line more clearly divided. Because you'd get to a certain point where it's just like, if you are playing perfectly, then you wear this assassin's armor and do way more damage. But if it's any content where you're taking chip damage or like off prayers, it's just like you'd be trolling to wear it because of the negative flat armor, because you'd spend so much time eating and stuff. So maybe that would make like the divide of like, when do I wear Torva versus this assassin stuff more clear. But I don't know, I still feel like people would try to greed it out and just be like, no, even though I'm taking chip damage, I'm just going to bank on it hitting me not so big and hit massive or something like that.
And it would still feel bad. Just, I don't know, sort of, again, I can only compare it to Ruinous Powers, how that would feel. Just this non-stop extra chip damage is just going to feel terrible. And again, it's like you would basically feel obligated to use it everywhere, and it just kind of ruins your quality of life. So maybe it's bad. I mean, Travis42 brought up the idea of like an elemental mage armor, which I don't think should come from Raids 4. I think it should come from a more like mid-level, or maybe just even like high-level, like sort of single-player boss, where you can get something. So you got like the Virtus, which is Ancients focus. You got Ancestral, which is overall everything. And then you got the elemental armor, or like mage cloth or whatever. That would look pretty sick. And it could just have like an effect on standard spells going forward.
I definitely think that will come into the game at some point. I agree with you. I don't think that Raids 4 is the place for it, just because Raids 4 is being marketed as like Top 2 or like the next hardest raid, and elemental magic is not end game. Like, it's really, really powerful in the early game, so it'd be cool to have it in a place where it's reasonable to get some use out of it before you have like a shadow or an eye, unless they make some new some new staff that actually makes elemental magic beat out shadow, but then that feels bad because that's a mega rare. So it's so hard to balance stuff, man. It's there's so many factors to always consider.
I think one of the issues they've also created, almost probably not knowingly, the harmonized staff. You know what, this is a really hot take. This is a hot take, but it's like a more theoretical take, because I understand, I don't even know if I'd actually want it to be removed, just all the implications it would mean for the game. But like, there's a part of me that really fucking wishes that the Nightmare staves and all three of those orbs never existed. They were just never a part of the game ever. And all Nightmare ever dropped was Inquisitors and the Mace, and that was like the extent of it. And it was very reasonable drop rates, and we just never had to deal with these weird orbs that, one, have fully broken standard spells. So if we ever wanted to balance elemental spells, everything is now balanced around the harm staff, because it fucking has a 20% extra DPS increase to everything. So if you ever wanted to actually make elemental spells good, you have to keep in mind about the harmonized stuff. So it's like, if that never existed, we could actually balance it properly and make elemental spells feel really powerful and good across the board for the most part. And then maybe the Dragon Hunter wand wouldn't have needed such a massive buff, although I guess that's a separate topic. But they had to compete with the harmonized staff, and like, that's upsetting. So
yeah. And they're just like so rare that it's not reasonable for any iron to ever go for like a specific orb. Like, that's like, they do, like, it's weird. I feel like the harm actually has the least amount of use. It's like Eldritch is good, and then Volatile is good in PvP. But that's like, it's not a reasonable part of any account's progression path unless you're like giga end game. But even then, it's like, well, you're gonna have a shadow. So I mean, it's tough to balance with that in the game. I also agree with you. I wish they were just never there.
This just feels so awkward. They feel so awkward in the gameplay. And the harmonized staff does have great use in PvP. Reese.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Reese uploaded that video of him in full fucking max. I don't know if you watch this. I don't even really watch PK montages and stuff. I'm gonna link you this. It will This was the best PK video I've ever seen in my life. It was fucking phenomenal because it's literally everything you want. There's no bullshit. There's no like just extra. It's just all like it's basically him highlighting his top like 50 kills basically in the Rev Caves. And it's him with full oath plate on, full max. Like I'm talking Bellator into like Ultor into whatever he's fucking using Dragon Claws. Like he is pimped to the gills, risking like over $1 billion, and he has just a hybrid setup where it's like full max mage, full ancestral in like with the harmonized staff, just nonstop fire surging everybody into just oath plate Dragon Claws and fucking people up. And it's like the most epic montage ever. And I'm like, God damn, okay, like this was a phenomenal production. I feel like the music and everything was just on point. I'll link you it. It's incredible. Anybody listening to this, you got to watch it if you haven't already. It popped off too. I'm sure it has over 100,000 views.
That sounds sick. Plus with like the actual time it takes for your spell, like you see a massive XP drop and then you just go in with claws and you're like, there's no way you're living, bro. Like I'm in max. See you later.
Yeah, it was fucking cool. And it just shows him just destroying PKers. It's not even him going just against the PVMers. Like there are kitted out PKers that are fighting him and he just fucks them up. And he shows every single loot key that he gets and he's raking it in. Like it was insane risk to make. I don't even know how much he made. He made bills just doing it. It was so cool to watch. So
that sounds sick. Yeah, I guess I don't even know why I didn't consider Harmonize for part of PvP. That is very true.
Yeah, it feels and it's awful to use. I mean, every single time you're watching him do it, it's like whenever he equips anything else, because PvP has specific weird arbitrary rules, you can't just re-equip the harm staff and then be on autocast again. You have to literally go back to the goddamn combat tab, click on the auto spell, click on the spell again, and then you're back into the 4-tick cycle. Because if you're just trying to manually cast it, it's still 5-tick.
So, yeah, I don't know why the hell. I guess
terrible. Yeah.
I guess they're trying to remove like, oh, you put on your Kodai wand and then just click like I guess the skill expression of having to manually cast Ice Barrage, but oh god, it's horrible.
Yeah.
maybe like allow it for elemental. That's even more variation. I don't know. PvP is so fucked.
It is. It's weird. It's a weird place. But I love it when I watch like really, really good people at it just kicking ass out there. It's cool. As long as I'm not
playing
the victim.
Game. It's crazy. Yeah.
All right. I'm loving this so far, by the way. Can I just say, I love talking with we both have maxed irons. Well, my iron's no longer maxed. I haven't logged into it for a bit, but
oh yeah, sailing. I was what do you mean? Of course it is.
Yeah, it's 20. I did gain a total level 2278 now. It just looks terrible, but
ooh, that's gonna ruin so many RuneScape tattoos that people have.
Yeah,
it did. I actually don't know how many people have.
One of the funny things was I was like, oh yeah, like what would be my rank now? Because I looked at my account and I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Because I used to be like, rank 100 something. I think the top Ironman rank I ever got was like rank like 78 or something, I think was my peak. And I looked myself up and I'm like rank like, I don't even know. Actually, I could just look it up right now. It's something like 17,000 or something. No, oh my god. Well, I'm rank 100,000 in the main game. What am I Ironman wise? 24, rank 24,000 now. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, oh yeah, my total level dropped massively. That's right.
But it'd be crazy. It's like the second you hit 99 sailing, you just go up like 16,000 ranks. You're like, oh, nice. Okay, we're back, baby.
I fucking would. I mean, 1.7 bill XP. If I just remax, I'd probably hit rank, 300 or 200 or whatever it is now.
Yeah. So. Are you like done with Sae Bae? I guess I don't know. You're never gonna like actually fully be done. But you haven't played that account in a very long time, right?
Yeah. There has to be a total. There's something. I think it's almost. This probably is not the right terminology, but kind of like Stockholm syndrome a little bit. But it's like the opposite of Stockholm syndrome, where it's like I log in, I instantly feel this. It's like I instantly shift into this different mindset when I log into the account. I think partly is due to all the patterns I see. So like I log in, I see my bank. It's the same bank layout I had for years and years. And it kind of puts me into this more efficient mindset, or like sort of like, oh yeah, these were the goals I had. And like, it kind of shifts me into this sort of like quote unquote competitive mindset where I see the game as something I need to complete rather than like something I can just enjoy freely. And I think that used to be a playstyle I really, really deeply enjoyed until I saw massive devaluations in specific clues. Like just the fact that
Callisto.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but I mean that and just the juggling and everything, like the fact that my hours of clues basically got slashed in way more than half. I mean, it was like probably like a 75% just slash of all the hours I put into clues just down the drain. And like, why am I investing so much time into this sort of like competitiveness of like trying to keep ranks and stuff and the things I enjoy where I don't know, I log in now and there is a chance I return to it just for fun, but I would have to do some real like house cleaning of the account and like make things feel different and like organize my bank differently and kind of like reevaluate my goals and stuff. But yeah,
maybe it all takes like a little fresh wardrobe. Yeah, you do like a renewed bank, and then it feels a little bit fresh. But I forgot how hard you were going on clues. Yeah, that makes sense. The clue juggling. Then it's just like, well, even if people like it, it still just takes away all the time that you spent on it. Just like feels bad, and that makes sense. It's kind of like a different mindset that you have going into it.
yeah,
you feel like less free. You're like, okay, I was like gaming whenever I was playing this account. I was locked in. I had like massive aspirations, and I kind of just want to play for fun. And I feel I can do that on this other account.
Yeah, that's a big reason. And I mean, I am kind of a skiller as well. I enjoy skilling, and so having been maxed for like 5 years at that point when I quit, I wasn't getting that deep satisfaction of like grinding post 99. It was just sort of like, I'm doing this because for some reason in my head, I want more XP. So I'm a higher rank kind of, but I don't even really care that much about the ranks, but I still feel like I want to gain XP. Like in a lot of my early casts, you see me just like crafting. I think I almost hit like 100 mil crafting, just doing that. And I'm like, oh, I'll just slowly get to 200 mil because like, why not? And it just didn't really ever feel that good because I wasn't getting unlocks and I wasn't getting like new levels and stuff. And so like playing new accounts has just been just a total blast. And I haven't really regretted getting off of Sae Bae, mainly because ultimately at the end of the day, like everything is just clicking the screen anyway. So it's like, how are you wanting to spend your time? I used to be a player that was all like put all progress into one account. Like that's how I see the game. Like that's how I enjoy it and everything. But again, it's just the fact that things continuously get devalued and devalued and devalued. And it's like putting so many thousands of hours into stuff just for it to randomly one day get slashed with nothing you can do about it. Was just not a great feeling.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like a discussion either. You were just like,
zero
yeah.
Zero discussion. And the problem is like I was in a different league, basically. Like not to like, this is not to flex whatsoever, but it's just like I was taking clues way more seriously than basically any other Ironman for the time period. And then like so them having these massive clue changes, that's when every Ironman started kind of funneling into clues. And it was like pretty much across the board seen as a fun update because now you can like manipulate clues, you can do them way faster, you can get them way faster. Like it was seen by almost the entire community. This is a good thing. So I felt like I was in a position like Hey Jace, where like Hey Jace is seeing the sailing skill come out, and he's one of the only people that's streaming as a top page player, and that meant a lot to him to be a top page player. But what is he supposed to do? Like try to argue that like, hey, like it would be cool if I could keep my rank, you know? Nobody fucking cares. They'd be like, dude, nobody cares. And so there is literally no argument that I could have really about like, hey, we need to keep clues the way they are because selfishly I want to keep my hours that I've put into this and not look like I've, waste all the time. So it felt like just a dead end. And I'm like, I'm not going to even waste a lot of my breath. I think I made like a couple videos on it, but I was just like, this is so pointless because it's very clear the community kind of wants this. And there is just zero backlash because I'm in the minority of people that are going hard on clues anyway right now.
Yeah, that's tough. And then it feels like you're probably just not allowed to complain because it's just like, well, everybody else wants this, so suck it up. But it's like, well, it's not like you just made. It's not like I mean, like I guess talk about buffing Nightmare or something. It's like you spend a ton of time on that too, but like the difference in amount of time you probably would be losing if they, like, I guess with the Nightmare drop rate buffs versus with the stupid juggling thing, like it's massive. That was like your entire account was doing clues, so it's a different level than like buffing a drop table or something.
Yeah. So that's the main reason why. But I have, since then, I mean, I played on Big Dogs, which was a really fun experience. Didn't end well, unfortunately. And then Squat Cam is nearly max. I haven't really actually played on him actively for a couple months now, but for a while I was kind of maxing him on the side. He's like 23 something total, which Squat Cam is a super fucking fun account. Like as soon as that account's maxed, it's got basically all the cool Slayer unlocks. It's got like the Noxious Halley and the Ultor and the Hydra Claw and the Hydra Leather and like basically everything you'd want from a traditional like maxing your account, but it doesn't have any raid stuff. So it's like perfectly set for
that, and then
like,
you just get all the
raids.
Dopamine. Yeah, it's sweet.
That sounds extremely exciting to play. But now I'm like on the hardcore, which I'm also deeply enjoying, and that's getting to a fun spot now. And I also made a gim that's still at the node, and I'm moving in with my girlfriend in like a couple weeks, and like I want to play the gim now with her, and I'm like, I feel like my time's being split in the game, and I'm like, I don't even know really what to focus on. I'm kind of just enjoying a bunch of different avenues of the game.
That's funny. You're switching from like a one account Andy to like you're gonna be that guy that has like 4 accounts up on his screen at once. Like, okay, like I'm AFKing stars here. I'm gonna do anglerfish here.
Yeah.
But I mean that's a fun way to play too.
It's just the one downside is that I don't like multi-logging, and so I feel like I keep just swapping accounts. Like I go to this one and then I go to this one, and I go to this one, and there is something in the back of my head that's like, this doesn't feel right, but I'm still enjoying myself ultimately, so I'm like, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I feel like a lot of my friends, they'll like be training a hardcore or something on the side, and I've never really spent too much time on a different account, but like I made a hardcore, I made an ultimate, I've done a couple like GIMs and stuff, but never for like anything more than a bond or two of length or something. And yeah, it was always this thing of being like, man, it would be really easy if I just wanted to catch anglers or something on the side, but I was always just like, I'm too locked into like this massive list of quests that I want to do or something. I don't even like want to think about it, whatever.
Yeah, it's just exhausting. It kind of makes the game feel like a chore a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Good.
I was just gonna
say that there's nothing. Oh my goodness.
Okay, you go and then I'll go. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say there's really nothing like the very early game of an account where you're just like you end your day and you ripped out like 24 quests and gained 400 total levels or something. It just feels so nice.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's some great dopamine, and the early game is just it's so different. It's very fun, and there's like so many different routes you can take. I want to talk about the Scar Essence mine, which is a very old sort of hot topic that was going on in the community for a while, and I had obviously my takes on it. But you here, in our DM were saying that you thought it was a great update. So let's butt heads for a second if you're cool with that.
Oh, I'm so excited. Hell yeah.
You've been waiting years to confront me about it.
Like I can finally spew all my Scar Essence opinions. Like, let's go.
Yeah. Let's do it.
No, I guess, yeah, in very short terms, the way that I viewed Scar Essence is that it wasn't really a rune crafting update at all, and it was a shopscape update. Mm-hmm. So it's like you have this really horrible shopscape gameplay loop, and then, in my opinion, Scar Essence is basically just a thematic way for Ironmen to transfer GP into runes, and it doesn't really have a place in the discussion for like rebalancing rune crafting as a whole outside of that. I definitely still think that like other rune crafting updates can and should come into the game, but I thought just in general, like getting away from the horrible world hopping for needing to recharge your scythe or something is really, really good. And the other option was just like removing shopscape and forcing irons to craft their own runes or something like that. But I thought it was just like, yeah, it's a little bit weird how you just like give this guy a shit ton of money and then he just like gives you stuff. But I don't really know if there's a better way to do it. It felt thematic, and it's at a similar pace to when you would actually buy them from without having to deal with that.
Yeah.
That's my thesis in a short way.
Well, so there was a bunch of issues that the Scar Essence created for the game, and I fully concede that yes, it was just a Shopscape update. The issue with how they kind of framed it was they took the theoretical amount of runes you could possibly get from like Shopscape, which I think they said something around like 70,000 or maybe even they set up to like two. I don't even know what the number they used on the blog post. It was something ridiculous where it's like, yeah, I understand you can get that if literally if you're constantly hopping in the shortest amount of time.
No shops are out of stock.
Yeah. Everything is full stock, and like I get that, but like there is a lot of exhaustion to this. So it's like I could understand if you wanted to create something like simply if Scar Essence was just not a 60x multiplier, if it had been like even something smaller like 10x or 20x or something, it's like I'd instantly be a lot less concerned about it. I'd still have issues with it, but it wouldn't have been. I was like, where the fuck did the number 60x come from? Like, Jesus Christ. Like, that was the just jarring thing about it. And then when it launched, I remember I crafted like nearly 400,000 bloods in an hour. And I'm like, okay, you could not get anywhere fucking near this number shopscaping. And it's cheaper technically, because if you ever wanted to get this amount of runes, like I could maybe get like 100,000 blood runes in an hour if I was shopping the Wilderness blood shop, which on average blood runes cost 600 GP there on average. So it's like everything is just got ramped up, buffed to the utter extremes, it felt like. Now, to be fair, maybe it wasn't quite 400,000 because I did exclude right now just the time it took to actually mine the extracts, which didn't take long at all, but like that was something I was missing. You do get mining XP, so it's not fully like a zero time, like, or like a sort of time loss. You are getting some EHP, I guess. But all that said, the reasons I did not like the update is because they just completely ignore rune crafting in the situation. Yes, I understand that if you're just looking at a surface level, it's like, oh, you're incorporating rune crafting. No, you're literally rune crafting for an hour a year now. And you still have this entire skill to train. So now what you've done to the skill, this is a byproduct of what happened with the Scar Essence update. Rune crafting becomes infinitely less interesting because now, as an Ironman, instead of crafting at specific altars for the runes you need, it now just makes it so, no, you are only ever going to do the most efficient XP per hour method, which kind of turns it into mainscape, where like main accounts are usually the accounts that won't go out of their way to do the unique methods that actually benefit your account directly. It's just, no, what in mainland, it's like whatever is the most GP per hour, do that. Whatever is the highest XP per hour, do that. And it just simplifies the game and makes it less interesting. And so what we now see with rune crafting is just do whatever is the fastest ultimately. And then whenever you need runes, just do Scar Essence. And that's the extent of it. And in my view, and that was not all that needed to be done. It was just simply like, if we add the Scar Essence, you are completely destroying the path forward to making rune crafting actually lucrative and actually enjoyable and actually worthwhile doing. So right now, and they have made some great updates with it, with like obviously Guardians of the Rift, which I want to say came out right beforehand. I think earlier that year or something, or maybe it was the year prior. I think it was earlier that year the Guardians of the Rift came out. But like, you have this new outfit that's giving 60% more runes, and like all you really had to do was just go into the rune crafting tab. You just like go to the rune crafting guide, look at it, look at the multiple runes that are here. They're all out of fucking whack. Like, all of these things make zero sense. Why can you only craft 4 fire runes at 99 but 11 air runes at 99? Like, they're fucking elemental runes. Just make it all like 15x or 20x. Make it so if you want elemental runes, your number one idea is not to just immediately go to the Wizards Guild or the Magic Guild or whatever it's called and just buy a bunch of packs. It should be, hey, I could just go to the air altar really quick and just craft a fuck ton of them because I have a decent rune crafting level and I'm getting this massive multiplier on it. So it's like I could just do that. And you're training rune crafting as an option that's competing with shop hopping with no money required. It's like, no, it's just an option. And then going forward with like the actual, like the catalytic runes, chaos runes, like why are you only being able to craft like 2 at 99, or is it even 2? Maybe it's 3. I think it might just be 2, but it's like, yeah, you only craft 2 chaos runes per essence at 99. Like that all needs to be scaled. It's all out of whack. And it's like, these are very, very simple changes. The same thing could go with death runes. I know you can craft double death runes at 99, but like, why not have, there's several different options to go down. It's like, you can make it so they scale every level. So every additional rune crafting level you get, it kind of increases it a little bit. So, death runes is not just you're crafting 1 at level 98 and then instantly you're crafting 2 at 99. It's like, no, there'd be a range from whatever level you can start crafting deaths, maybe it's like 65 or whatever, up to 99. It just keeps scaling upwards. So there's like decimal places. So it's like at level 70, you're crafting like 1.2 deaths per essence. And then it just keeps climbing. And it can even go beyond 2x. I'm even thinking, for today's standards, we could have you crafting 4x the amount of death runes. We really could do that. That's a feasible option. It would make rune crafting lucrative, but it's like, it would actually make rune crafting enjoyable because you'd go to those specific altars. It wouldn't just be Guardians of the Rift the whole time or ZMI the whole time or whatever the hell people are doing the whole time. It's like you would have these alternate options and it would actually be incredibly lucrative. And the same would obviously go for blood runes. I made so many different videos on pathways forward, and the feedback I got back from JMods was just, we don't have the time or really like just the work sort of like cut out for this, or just that's not worth our time to invest in a broad like rune crafting update that would balance things properly. So we're just going to put this patch on, and that's the extent of it. And that's like just the terrible reality of it, is just the fact that like they are a business and they're not just a passion project that we're just trying to create a very, very balanced game. It's just like, we just don't have the energy and the time and the resources to work on this right now. We have other projects to work on, and like that was upsetting. So yeah,
I think it's funny because I feel like I agree with like everything you just said. I think that like all of these things can be better balanced. I think that it should be reasonable to go out and craft your own runes as like an actual viable option. If you're like, oh, I want death runes, but I don't want to spend money. Like I want to be able to go get them at a good clip. But I think my opinion is that like that can exist and should exist alongside Scar Essence. And Scar Essence is solely a faster way to like specifically transfer your GP into runes like you were doing before in Shopscape. Because like even if you do have like 4x death rune making, if Scar Essence didn't exist, like I'd still be buying death runes at shops, even if it was 4x, because it's just going to be so much faster, and I have the extra GP. And I think like being able to buy runes with GP is actually a good thing. It's like it's kind of nice when you have a really big stack of GP on an Ironman and you actually have something to put it into. So I guess my opinion is I don't see why both of those things can exist, like a big rebalance to the amount of runes that you get to make it viable, as well as still having Scar Essence as an avenue to like move your GP into runes.
Well,
I do think it was maybe a little bit overtuned, but overall I still like it. Maybe a lot of bit overtuned, but yeah.
It's like, okay, so this is where at the time my opinion split. Like I could get down with something like a Scar Essence, but this was the way I was thinking about it at the time, and I still think this way as well. This was a broader sort of shopscape discussion with Ironman, and the whole sort of discussion centered around, do we want to be able to buy stuff as an Ironman? Because we clearly can. There's a bunch of shops you can just buy your shit, and I'm just thinking to myself, it's either, and I still hold on to this view. I don't really think about it as much anymore because I've just kind of moved on. I'm focused on other things, but I would prefer either two routes. It's either make it so Shopscape doesn't exist anymore, basically, meaning all shop stocks would be localized to your player. So you're never having to compete with anybody, but when you hop worlds, the stock is still the same as it was on the previous world because it's all localized to you, meaning, in the current system, when there's actual like quantities there, like in stock, that would instantly bottleneck you, meaning that traditional gathering skills would actually have a fucking use and you can actually balance them properly and make it so you can gather stuff appropriately. And if they were to ever make that change, which is a very radical change to be completely honest. You know, that would be one option. The other option is if the community does want to just fully embrace Shopscape, stop with the quantities. I'm just thinking to myself, okay, you have gotten to the point with all Varlamorian shops at this point, basically. Not every single one, I don't think, but like almost every one has infinite amount of stock on it. You just go there and you buy it, and that's the price it is. So the other radical view I have is just make it so every goddamn shop in the entire game never requires world hopping. Everything's unlimited stock. Everything's a set value, and that's the extent of it. And so then if you ever want to just buy your runes, you can, and you never need a world hop. You just spam click a bunch, or even just have a buy X option. I'm just, again, like what would be the problem at this point in the game in 2026 to just make it so you roll up to the magic shop, you want to buy some blood runes, they're set at a fixed cost, and you right click and say buy X, buy this many, there's your GP depleted, and there's your runes that you got. That's the end of the story. You don't need to add all this bullshit with Scar Essence private servery crap. And if you don't want to buy your runes, you can just go craft them traditionally, and there could be balancing there. But those are the two options. It's either completely nerf Shopscape to the ground entirely and make Iron Man feel like Iron Man, or just make shops extremely convenient because they're already there in the first place. You're just making it this annoying hurdle to have to constantly compete with other people, constantly world hop, and it's just terrible.
Yeah, I feel like that might have been a reasonable approach as well. It's just, I don't know. I imagine there'd probably be some backlash, but like overall, it's kind of one and the same. I just like Scar Essence because it's a bit more thematic, but like if they did that, like I'm trying to think of like how bad would that really be? I do think your first idea about making shops localized, like at first it sounds like really, really crazy, but if they had a list of like the places where it would be really bad, like off the top of my head, like broad arrow packs, feathers, I don't know, there's probably some places where it'd be really bad, but they had a solution, like, and then like for runes you'd have Scar Essence. Like it doesn't seem like the most ridiculous thing, but it also, I don't really know exactly what it's solving, because then at that point it's like, okay, if you're going to allow unlimited purchasing of feathers and unlimited purchasing of broad arrows and then Scar Essence for runes, like, okay, what's the fix? But yeah, I think, I don't know. It's funny when you said like Scar Essence is private servery. To me, an unlimited buy X option of a resource that you like actually need and is valuable and you consume, that to me feels really private servery.
Feels Scar Essence-y to you. No. No, but again, like those were like the sort of two options that spoke to me the most was, and just to delve into it a little bit more, I've always enjoyed the aspect of Iron Man where you actually have to go get your stuff. We've definitely strayed away from that more and more and more over time. But again, like, and when you're bringing up broad arrows, and the same thing would go with gold ore, you know, if we were to make the very extreme option of no, like shops are localized and you just have this limited stock that slowly regens, there's no world hopping's not going to help you, it would instantly create very interesting metas where it's not world hopping metas anymore. Like you actually have to go and get your gold ore. Like, how are you going to do that? And then there's a broader discussion to be had of, can we buff gold ore mining? Can we make it so there's different options to actually get this ore in a traditional gathering manner that's not just constantly world hopping? I mean, that is the thing that would eventually have to be balanced. And one of the arguments I used to have years ago was, you know, we keep having these XP increases over time with everything getting faster and faster. I would be okay with a sudden nerf that like is just instantly like, okay, shops are nerfed to the goddamn ground for Iron Man. Find a different way, find a different meta that does not use shops. And again, that's one of the options. If everybody's against that, I could totally hop on board with everything's just free to get. You just buy everything you want. If it's a stackable item, you could just sit there and buy X. But in any place where you're buying ores, you'd obviously only be able to carry, you know, 27 at a time with your cash stack also there. So in those situations where you just want to buy your gold ore, there's just you never have to world hop anymore, and you never have to deal with other players. It's like you can do it at all hours of the day. You don't have to wake up at 2 a.m. and go buy out your stocks, which they have made some good strides on, to be fair. You know, kind of like just changing how the prices work and stuff. They've already made all these positive changes that are pushing toward the buy X. I mean, the simple fact that the ore shop where you're buying gold ore now only costs like 225 GP, I think, per gold ore. That shit used to be on average like 400 GP. And you'd have to weigh the pros and cons of like, okay, there's only 30 in stock. Do I even buy it because it's going to be so outrageously expensive for this inventory? There's none of that anymore. And it's a universally agreed upon, like, by everybody, that this is a positive change for the game. And going forward, if it was just buy X, you're still limited by your money. You're still limited by your cash stack. But now you don't have to spend, the next 3 hours of your life hopping and spam clicking and developing carpal tunnel from opening all these goddamn packs of shit. Which
it would be really interesting to see how that would change the meta. Like, for like, I think smithing would probably be the biggest thing, because even early on, before Blast Furnace and everything, I'm pretty sure the meta is like buying steel plate bodies and mithril battle axes or whatever for Giant's Foundry and just like world hopping around. And it's like the entire progression of smithing on an Ironman would change so much if you couldn't shopscape. But yeah, like you're saying, it's very related to how shit mining is. So it's like, why would you go out and actually make mithril bars and craft them yourself to put into Giant's Foundry when you can just buy them somewhere?
Yeah. So I'm down for either route, and that was my main thing, was that it felt like it sort of destroyed rune crafting. And you had this is the last point I'll bring up, like they've already made some other things, I guess, like Guardians of the Rift, where you can get cosmics now. Like, cosmics used to be a cool little bottleneck where like you had to actually go traditionally craft your cosmic runes because you'd only have 20 in stock at the mage bank out there in the wilderness, and you basically got like very, very few cosmics as drops from things. So you had to go craft them manually. And that was cool to just do for a little bit on an iron. The same thing with wrath runes. Wrath runes used to be a cool rune. I think the rune crafting level is way too high, to be completely honest. But as an end game player, if you wanted to do wrath runes, you had to go craft them traditionally. There was just no way of getting them. Now you got Yama. Now you got these things just shitting out 800 at a time. And now you can just, in an hour, craft 300,000 wrath runes. And it's like, okay, you've just destroyed this sort of charming element of Iron Man, where there were these very select cases where you actually have to gather your stuff. I don't know. It's a little upsetting for me, kind of.
That's fair. Yeah, I feel like that's a very core difference that different players have. Like, to me, the idea of having to go and craft wrath runes to use them feels annoying, which sounds ridiculous because like I'm an Iron Man player and I probably shouldn't say that, but it's like I play Iron Man because I like the progression that it brings, and I like the little conveniences of being like, okay, I don't need to go fish all of my fish. I can get raw sharks and cook them myself, or something like that. And there are plenty of places like, okay, I want anglerfish. Like I do need to go fish them. There are certain places, but if it was like that way, or if it was like that for every single resource that you need, then in my opinion, that would make Iron Man like two-sided onto skilling. And like like right now it's like almost all PVMing when you're doing Iron Man. So where I could see maybe like a little bit of a nudge into like, okay, maybe we should like gather more of our own stuff. And I think like, I guess an example of a good push in that direction is deep sea trawling. Like I really, really like it. But I worry if it was like that for every single skill, then Iron Man just becomes like skilling man mode, which maybe that's dramatic, but
no, I mean, I disagree.
A very like core difference.
Yeah. I'm in agreement with you that it shouldn't be everywhere. It's just these very specific things that make a skill feel charming when there is an element of it. Like, okay, I want to do this. Like deep sea trawling is a great example. And I don't know, like on your way to 99 rune crafting, it's just terrible because you could just buy your runes wherever you want. You can just use the Scar Essence wherever you want. But if on your road to 99 rune crafting, you had in your mind, and again, this would assume that they actually balance rune crafting properly and give you a generous amount of runes that makes sense in 2026, which is not the case at the moment. But if it were to be the case that you would go around and actually craft the runes that are most meaningful to you at a very, very solid and lucrative rate, meaning I even proposed something that was like 40,000 bloods an hour, literally, like just being able to craft those. That was including this sort of like blood essence and other things like that that I included in the video years back. But I mean, imagine you could actually train rune crafting and you get these PVM drops that are like the blood essence and stuff. And then you go train your rune crafting and it's like, you're getting 40,000 an hour. So you do this for, 10 hours, you have 400,000 bloods, and you also got a shit ton of runecrafting XP. Like, that sounds much more Iron Man than, I don't know, just like the other things. And again, like, this is all theory, because this is so many updates that would need to happen and so many polls that would need to be run to see if players would want it, and so much resources on Jagex's end. So we're bringing up this conversation. I'm like almost getting flashbacks from how I used to feel emotionally about this whole topic. But
Sorry.
no. I mean, I was very interested in kind of bringing it back up. So anybody that's listening to this and is just exhausted by my passion for this, I really have pretty much just ignored this entirely now, because I do have a better general sense of this game being run as a business and not a passion project. So I'm like, all right, whatever. The game is what it is, and that's just it.
I almost think we're like maybe more aligned than we think. Like, when you say 40,000 blood runes an hour, I'm like, my reaction is literally just like, bet, that sounds great. We should totally do that. Mm-hmm. But on the other side, it's like, well, but I still think it would be cool to have a way to put in GP to get runes more fast. But I think both things can exist, and I do think it should be rebalanced. And it's kind of sad that they don't have the resources to like actually make it reasonable. Like, all elemental runes should give the same amount per essence at different levels. Like, there's a million different updates they can make to it. It's a weird spot in the game. There's a lot of different opinions. But yeah, sorry to bring up the PTSD for you.
No, this was great. This is therapeutic for me in a anti-therapeutic way. No, this is great. Honestly, this is cool to kind of bring back up and just remember my thoughts, because probably didn't do it justice right now, but I think I got the general point across. We will move on though, because there is obviously some other more important things to talk about. So I want to get onto your next point, which you have listed in our DM here, which is how to go about setting goals in game. And you bring up the fact that most players don't say, I want a T-bow, and then sit down and grind chambers until T-bow. However, this, as you say, is how a lot of people talk about goal setting. So let's dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, so maybe this is like too centered when you're like on like end game players, when your goals take a really, really long time. Like, if you want to say, oh, I want 70 mining, and then go do it, like, that feels reasonable. But I think when players kind of go from mid game to more late game, and they're like, I want to, like, Bofa is like the classic example. Like, okay, now I want to get a Bofa. People will literally just like sit in CG and do nothing else. And I think that's just a recipe for getting burned out. So I guess I was kind of thinking about this in like how I go about like setting goals and actually getting stuff done. And I'm like a serial content hopper where I'm always doing stuff different. And like, I guess kind of how I break things up is in a very rough sense, I usually have like 4 different types of goals. So I have, like, for one, something that's AFK. So ideally I could do it while I'm working, but it's the same with like if you're like watching a show or something. Number 2 is like an RNG based goal. So you can be like hunting a boss drop or something. Number 3 would be like a linear goal. So it's like, oh, I'm working towards like the Guardians of the Rift outfit or something, and I know I need to do like around this many games to get that done. So you can like really feel that progression. And then number 4, it's probably something team based, where it's like you can get that social interaction. And I feel like if you usually have like some combination of these things going on, it keeps things fresh enough where it's like you can actually feel like you're making gradual progress and chipping away at something. Whereas on the flip side, if you are just going for an RNG and just like throwing yourself against a wall for 2 months straight, and then you have the natural realization that you're nowhere closer to when you started, like, oh my God, that's just the worst feeling. But I don't know. That's at least the way I look at it. Like, right now I'm doing like God eggs as an AFK with just like the Log Hunters Discord pinging me whenever something happens. And then I'm doing like, oh, I'm going for Slayer pets and stuff like that. And then I'm doing Mahogany Homes. Actually, I just finished Mahogany Homes, but I'll probably do like aerial fishing next or something for clogging as like a linear goal, and then like Tob whenever my friends want to. And so it's a really, really nice balance, and I really, really like it.
So in your view, and again, it's all personalized. It depends on what kind of player you are, but what you end up seeing is a lot of players that will get very burnt out going for one thing, and you think it would be healthier for those players to just diversify a little bit and have multiple things going on at once where they can just keep hopping around and feeling like they're making some progress in some areas. And even if one of those grinds just takes forever because it's pure RNG, they won't end up burning out.
Yeah, and I think like when I think about this, it's usually BOFA. Like I feel like I know, maybe it's just because I personally know a lot of people that have just like literally not left the basement of CG until they get the seed. And I'm like, dude, you like, okay, it's fair if you don't want to PVM until you get the BOFA, but like, what if you want to chip away at like the achievement diary cape or something like that and just like switch things up just a little bit? But people's brains work differently. This is just kind of how it works for me. But I'm definitely not like trying to. There's no correct way to do it. Like some people say the exact opposite, and they're just like, when I got my mind on something, I got my mind on something, and I got to go do it. And I guess I'm not wired like that, but I think it's kind of interesting. People have like different ways of going about it.
I think we're wired very similarly. I have always been, except for in some situations, but it's always because of content creation. I think that kind of funnels me into fair. One grind for once because it's just more exciting. Like even on this new hardcore series I'm doing, it's really all over the place. It feels like there's no coherency. Coherency, is that a word? That is a word, right?
I think so, yeah.
There's no coherency with what I'm really doing in game. It's just like I'm broadly progressing my account, which does make sense. If you're playing a new account, you just got to do a bunch of different things. And I'm sure it'll kind of like get a little bit more focused in the later game stuff that I end up doing. But for a content creator, there's a reason why like chunk accounts and stuff just thrive. And I actually think, this is my theory, is because there is a one set objective that you must do, and then it's accomplished and you move on to the next thing. So for the audience, it's just, you know what's going on. You're not having to guess. He's not doing a billion different things that you just feel like you're losing your mind, going crazy, watching this guy do a bunch of different shit. And when I think of my content creation journey, I felt this pressure to sort of do one grind, which wasn't natural for me. Like to just grind Nightmare, like for 9 months straight, that was not natural for me. And I really despised it for a while. I mean, I would despise doing Nightmare for a day, for an hour at this point. Doing one normal Nightmare kill, I'd get fucking pissed off at this point. But
you've earned that right. That is very fair.
Yeah. But even beyond that, like I wanted to like do a huge Saractus grind and stuff and just do a shit ton of clues. And that feels very content focused, where my audience would come day after day and know exactly what I'm doing. There's no guessing. And it kind of becomes this familiar sort of cozy space that you know what's going on. But when you're not a content creator, and the more I've been sort of distanced from live streaming and distanced from just, I guess, that kind of content. I mean, I do have my hardcore series, but beyond that, it's just now I've been playing accounts in a very chaotic way where I'm jumping about every which way. And it's so much more enjoyable playing that way. I think me and you align, like at least our personalities, how we see RuneScape. I'm totally with you there.
Yeah, I think streamers in particular probably face a lot more pressure than YouTubers to like do the same thing, kind of like what you're saying. Like, I mean, well, Bodhi's definitely built different, but that guy's just been at Tob for like 6 months. he just hasn't left the place. It's crazy. Yeah. You watched like a Lone Gym Rat, right? I think you've had him on before.
Yeah.
I think what he does with his, doesn't he like, he'll just like, I think he just content jumps, but then he'll like format his videos so that it's like his one video that drops is like all Shellbrain Griffin or like all doing Helmet of the Moon stuff or something like that. And I feel like that's a good way to kind of get the best of both worlds, where he can prevent himself from burning out while still having his content be like kind of digestible and easy to follow. Just being like, okay, I know this video is about this specifically.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I feel like I've heard him say that at some point. That's what he does.
Yeah, no, that's a great formula. It only ends up working when your account is more or less homogenized. Like it's sort of like you have the max cape, you got everything set. If I were to do that on like an early account where it's just like, oh, here's my 1 to 99 mining journey on this account, and it's like all these other things, you just see myself getting pimped out more and more over every clip.
You're wearing like full bandos at the end. You're like, bro, spoiler. It's like, come on.
And then you go to the next video where it's like, oh, by the way, I did this other grind, and it just shows you being back to like a level 20 account. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? But it definitely works a lot better if it's everything feels like it's in this stable, what the fuck is the word I'm thinking of? Homeostasis, sort of.
Yeah, yeah, I guess that's more of like an end game thing where it's nothing like stuff moves so slowly that you have the liberty to like span a grind over 3 months and it does look cohesive.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So this is going to be an interesting one, and you're going to have to, explain this to me because I am relatively ignorant on like the state of AI and the state of like software development. But you are saying AI's influence on the state of software development and how that could potentially affect Jagex. And you do mention as well that you are a software engineer, so you'll have some more expertise to share with us.
Yeah, so I guess like precursor, like I have no idea like how much Jagex is using AI or like how much game companies in general use AI. Like I design websites, I'm a web developer. So I can speak to like how much I use AI. And I'm also like really not trying to like fear monger or anything, but it's like a thought that I have sometimes. But basically in the past, I don't know, year or something, like AI has kind of, I guess the meme is kind of like you're not a software engineer anymore. You're just like a prompt engineer where you just sit there and then type into your little code box to say, like, hey, do this. And then it does it. And then you like identify issues and you're kind of just like talking back and forth with the AI while the AI does the actual coding for you. And it's kind of rare to like actually go in and edit lines of code, which is weird because like that was all of our jobs forever up until this point. So it's like very much changed how people go about software engineering in general, at least in my world. I'm sure different companies do things very differently. But I'd be very interested to like see how that has affected content developers at Jagex. Like maybe they don't use it. But if they do, I guess I don't know how worried. I'm not really that worried about it, but I'd be interested to see if that like has an effect on kind of like the creative thinking of how you go about designing bosses. I'm like kind of an AI hater, so for me personally, it's kind of like removed the quote unquote like joy of coding. Like I don't really go in and find a bug and fix it. Like instead, I identify a bug, ask the AI to like propose potential root causes, and then figure it out. But it really just feels like the AI is doing the work for me, and I'm the person that's just like holding its hand along. So yeah, I guess like the main thing I'm wondering is like if they're using AI heavily to develop new content in the future, I wonder if that's going to kind of like drain the creative juices a little bit and it's going to only propose things that are like more repetitive of previous bosses. Yeah, it feels like I'm fear mongering a little bit, but I feel like it's
I feel like that's a
yeah.
valid fear first off to have because yeah, I don't know. That's because again, like AI is yeah, I'm more in the camp of just like I don't like this. I feel like socially as well, you kind of have to not like it as well, just because of how much it's stealing art for one. I think that's a big
Yeah, art's a big one. Yeah.
and just art in any category as well. But it's like again, like I just am thinking to myself, if we were to I don't know. I think there could be some interesting elements. Like if you could somehow plug in a prompt of like develop a boss that's like maximizing for fun and like the AI, again, like years down the line when it's a little bit more advanced, like come out with something that's just like the most fucking phenomenal, interesting, most satisfying mechanics in RuneScape, and it just delivers, and it's just like this boss that's just like so addicting and it just captures all the elements. Like that'd be fucking cool. But then as soon as you like register in your brain that this was created by AI, it's just like this instant tainting of it. You're like, fuck, like, oh God, this does not feel good anymore. But I do wonder, if it was sort of like handheld by developers and they're trying to come up with some creative thing, who knows? I mean, maybe there really could be some really, really fascinating PVM encounter. I'm purely just thinking PVM right now, just like, how that could look. I mean, that was in a more human form. That was what I was looking forward to most from Project Xanaris, was like years down the line when Project Xanaris first launches, it probably wouldn't have all these features, but you know, if people start developing and just being able to fully create custom bosses on these sorts of servers, and people can like play test them and stuff, and then maybe introduce them into the broader game because everybody's just able to have these tools to just make stuff. And we truly just, I mean, everyone becomes kind of a developer at that point. And especially if AI was involved and you could just have like the average person that just has creative ideas but doesn't have the technical ability to code things, it's like that could be an interesting game to see, you know, kind of like get all the ideas from the community, see what they've created, and only choose the best stuff to put into the main game. I think, again, like the more I talk about it, the more dystopian it sounds in a weird way. I think just anything AI related just sounds dystopian inherently. But again, like if the content feels fucking phenomenal, it feels balanced and feels satisfying, like shit, that'd be kind of interesting.
I have no doubts that like with like AI assisted code is, okay, I don't have no doubts, but I would be very surprised if AI assisted code was not in the game right now. I just think it's everywhere in software. I think my worry is a little bit more like long term, because a lot of the way that these AIs work is it's like you basically like you download it. This is a really, really high level, and it's just going to analyze your entire code base, and you can basically construct your AI to like have a really, really good idea of like what the players like, what they don't like, what makes content fun, what makes content not fun. And once it understands that, like, yeah, I agree, it could make some absolute banger stuff. But then I think about long term, and it's just like, I also kind of get a sense of dread when I think about it, because like the way I kind of think about AI is it's just like, at the end of the day, it's kind of like taking what's there as the source of truth and then like regurgitating it into something new and exciting. And it's definitely going to be different and everything, but I think it might like limit the creativity of the developers to like truly get something unique and fresh. But I could also see the workflow being completely different for content developer, because it doesn't really start with hitting code. Like, I guess probably all of that ideation and everything probably happens outside of code, but I mean, the ideation can be done with AI as well. So I don't know. That's just my like little soapbox to be like, I don't know. It might have negative effects, but in the short term, it could have really positive effects too. Like, because it is definitely going to increase developer velocity and like their ability to pump out content. Although people might disagree with our with our current with our current pace of getting stuff out the door, but yeah.
Yeah. No, it is fascinating. This is stuff I don't really think about as often, as it's probably very apparent to those that are more in that AI space. I'm very distant from it. It feels like I'll occasionally use a chat bot to ask it some questions, but like other than that, that's pretty much my extent with AI.
Yeah, it's all very wishy-washy thoughts, but I don't know. I don't have too many thoughts like that. That's maybe a potential of like maybe another video I might make in the future of like how much is AI actually affecting. But it would all be very, very hypothetical of like I don't actually know, but like this is what could happen in a good path, and this is what could happen in a bad path, and like I don't know. I'm also not an expert in AI, but I just use it at work.
Yeah, that is fascinating. Holy shit. Yeah, we're gonna in the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, I think it's just always been 5 to 10 years. Like even 5 to 10 years ago, it's always 5 to 10 years later. But like, I am very excited and terrified at just the pace of technological growth and just AI in general. For like, just imagine the year 2040. Like that sounds. I know that's like 14 years away, but like that sounds.
What do you mean? That's like 40 years away.
I know, God damn it. God damn it. But yeah, that sounds like a very, very different world technologically than we have right now. I mean, when you just look back 14 years ago today, just the phones and the technology, it was just so much shittier in comparison.
Yeah, I had like an iClicker in college where it's like you actually had to buy a clicker and bring it to class to answer the questions. Like there wasn't an app on my phone. Like that was only 14 years ago.
Yeah,
like what are you?
Crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I kind of view it as like it's the modern day internet. It's gonna like completely revolutionize everything. Like you're never gonna have to call a doctor's office to make an appointment ever again. Like why would you ever do that? Just like have my AI talk to your AI, which is very, very terrifying, but very cool, kind of like you say.
Yeah, it's just
I don't know. It will be very world. Yeah. definitely.
And for like the new generation being born into it. I mean, we already see that with is it Gen A now? Is that all the babies that are being born right now?
I think it's Gen Beta now.
Oh God, are we already at Gen B? Are those the 0-year-olds right now?
I don't know. I think I was talking to one of my friends that's either about to have a kid or just had a kid, and I mentioned something about like, oh yeah, I was like, oh, he's gonna start like throwing Gen Z slang around or whatever Gen he is, and then she was like, no, he's Gen Beta, and I was like, what the fuck?
Like Gen B, I mean, one of the hopeful things is a little bit of a side topic, but like one of the hopeful things I have is just the fact that like the young generations just don't take the world as seriously. Like I feel like that the sort of like stereotypical Gen Z stare where they just staring at you at retail shops and stuff and just they don't give a fuck. It's so refreshing. Like I fucking love it. I love that shit. I'm like, thank you for not taking our fucking systems that we have created in our world so goddamn seriously. It's just like we're just a bunch of humans, a bunch of people on a fucking rock. And I appreciate that. And I also think in a fucked up way, being chronically online from literally age 0 with an iPad in front of your face because parents are fucking working 2 jobs to live, to just shove an iPad in their face. Like they're gonna, well, there's 2 different routes. It's either the amount of just shitty ass information out there just gonna fucking destroy the brains of all these kids. But I feel like as well, they're gonna be more easily able to parse how like some information is good, some isn't. Because again, when you take like a fucking boomer and put him in front of the internet in 2005, they're getting fucking baited by like these ads that you just won $10,000 flashing on your screen. They're like, oh my God, did I literally have a real story of my friend's parent that literally fell for one of these fucking scams.
Oh,
and
no.
This dude's like a smart, intelligent dude. Yeah, this guy's not even like a dummy. He just was so new to the internet. He just didn't understand what a scam looked like. And like us growing up in RuneScape, we found out what a scam was before we were 10. And that was a very helpful skill to learn. And I think just having an iPad in front of your fucking face at 0 is going to be very interesting to see kind of how that generation ends up just getting so fucking annoyed with the world in its current state. And I feel like at some point, I don't know if it'll be Gen B or Gen C or Gen D or whatever ends up happening, but we're just going to get sick and fucking tired of how much damage, you know, the internet and just us being so virtually plugged in is causing to our species. I feel like, again, very much going off the rails here. So we'll kind of reel it back in unless you have any thoughts.
No, I agree. I think it is good to look at the silver linings because I feel like it is really easy to just get doom and gloom and only look at the negatives at stuff, but it is cool. And they're like, yeah, the next gen isn't so bad. They got their issues, but yeah, we all did.
Yeah. It's that's the best part actually about human nature is the fact that like old people end up dying, including, you know, ourselves. Like all the millennials are going to die. Like that, it's a great refresh. Like get rid of these fucking terrible, you know, preconceived notions that we all have in our brains and just clear us out. You know, here we go. Let's get the new people in that actually have learned something from all the mistakes we made. I think that's a really refreshing thing. As grim as it sounds to all die at the end, it's like, it's kind of cool, like being able to have solutions be solved by people that actually had to fucking live through it at an early age and not are just benefiting from, I don't know, all the corruption as an old person.
Yeah. Anyway. I can't wait. It's going to be great. Can't wait for that day.
We're not going to be there, so that's their problem anyway, but yeah. Okay. Now, reeling it back to RuneScape, I want to talk about this next point. And then I'm going to have some other gripes that I'll talk about in regards to drop rates. But first off, AFKability. You say here, AFKability is being prioritized more and more in the current age of OSRS. And how does this drive content development? So I guess 2 different parts there. Let's jump into that.
Yeah, I think this became like really apparent in Sailing release. I think Jagex like released data on how many people salvaged versus other stuff, or maybe does that ring a bell to you? Did they do that, or am I making that up?
Say that one more time.
I'm pretty sure Jagex like released data about like how many people were salvaging versus doing port tasks versus other
Yeah,
stuff.
I
And
think
it
they
was
did. I don't remember the numbers though.
okay. Yeah, me neither. But I remember it being like very, very staggeringly different in like in favor of salvaging versus other pieces of content.
Yes.
Um, and I feel like it's kind of interesting when you consider the age of the player base. Like a lot of people have families or jobs and or like they play RuneScape to relax and they want to like watch a show and just actually like make linear progress on the side or something like that. So it's basically there's a standard that players really really like AFK stuff, and I feel like it's probably a really hard balance to strike of being like, well, we want players to be engaged with our game, but we also want to give the players what they want. So it's like, when do you introduce something AFK versus something that's not AFK? And I think they did a pretty good job with it in sailing, but kind of a little, I guess a question I wanted to ask you and throw it back to you is like, you did salvaging to 99 on your account, right?
On Squat Cam, yeah, I did. I did some of the Barracuda trials just to get like the crystal extractor and stuff, but yeah, mostly just salvaging.
Okay. So what would the XP per hour of Barracuda trials have to be for you to have done that instead of salvaging?
Basically nothing. I mean, unless it was like a million XP per hour, but it's just there was no rewards. And the way I see Iron Man through my eyes is just I want to be rewarded. I want to get supplies. I want to get stuff. And Barracuda Trials offers no rewards currently. It's just XP focused, which I actually do think is balanced, but it is one of the reasons why I just didn't want to engage in that, because I wasn't just rushing to get my max cape back. I was on a new account that wasn't going to get a max cape at the end. I just wanted more supplies and to chill.
Yeah, I guess there is a different conversation we have between irons and mains, because it's yeah, you actually get benefits, like you get some herbs and seeds and stuff, and well now you can get red topaz and all that stuff. We couldn't, but yeah. But I mean, I don't really have any like specific points or anything, but I just like I do kind of wonder how Jagex goes about like deciding when something should be an AFK activity. If it is, how AFK should it be? How rewarding should it be? And it sounds like maybe with sailing it was a little bit overtuned, and then they might have overestimated like how much the OSRS community loves to AFK. But it does kind of feel like as time goes on, we are enjoying AFK more and more. When I say we, like the average player. But yeah, and I guess another point about this is it kind of seems like skilling in general becomes the place to throw AFK content to, and then PVM becomes the place to throw active content to. So a new skill comes out and everyone's like, oh sick, there's a good AFK version to do this. I'll just do this when I have time to AFK and save my active play for the stuff that I like doing, which is PVM, which would be cool to see a little bit more variety in that sense. But obviously you can't really like AFK kill a boss except for maybe Mole or something. I don't know.
And that all funnels down into make skilling fun, not just interactive and fast XP. It's like, make it fucking fun. And how do you do that? I mean, it's a difficult thing to solve, but like there are clear solutions. There's clear ways forward in a lot of different examples. Not every example I couldn't, brainstorm how to make fucking fletching bows at your bank more interesting, but I don't think that's something you need to make more interesting. But like, there are many, many different routes to go down to make things interesting. And I also want to just point out, at least anecdotally, in my case, when I first started sailing, they scaled courier tasks so fucking poorly that
it sucked. It was
I was getting bad. Like 58 XP for traveling at half a tick a goddamn second, or what am I trying to say? Half a tile, or 1.5 tiles. There we go. Every tick. And it's just a terrible fucking experience running there or sailing there. And then just getting literally nothing for it. 58 fucking GP and 58. Like this, what the fuck are we doing here? So I'm sorry, but that in my view was a mistake. And I think courier tasks should feel, for the most part, like a relatively how do I word this? Basically, like what I'm saying is, how rune crafting at the beginning of the rune crafting skill, you basically shoot up to level 20 instantly if you're just like, if you were to like just craft air runes, because it's all static. It's like one essence means this. And I think the same thing should have applied to ports. Like if you do a task to this port from this destination. This is how much XP you get every time. And the only thing that's increasing your XP is just how fast your boats end up going. And also unlocking more and more ports obviously would give you more XP. So it still does scale ultimately over time. But I would have loved it if I did my first courier task and I would jump from level 5 sailing to like level 12 or something, just instantly, boom, like there's a fat XP drop. It makes sense. I'm jumped up, and now I have this cool dopamine that I'm feeling in my soul of like, courier tasks are great. But no, it was courier tasks fucking suck. This is the only thing I can do. I don't even want to do Barracuda trials yet because my boat's slow as shit. So I'm not even going to touch that. But hey, I can start salvaging now. And then most players just sink into that rabbit hole of salvaging, because as soon as you hit that level where you can properly salvage and you get the salvaging station at 42, which a lot of people are eyeballing, then you're locked in. It's like, okay, everything else in the past that I've experienced so far has been total shit. It does get better, but I haven't experienced that personally. So I'm just going to lean more and more heavily into the salvaging, which is the only thing that's actually feeling relatively good at my level. And that, I think that was a mistake.
I feel like sailing probably has like the biggest gap in XP per hour in the early game versus the late game, because it gets like fucking fast.
Hella
like
fast.
It's yeah, it's like 300k an hour or something. And then like your AFK option is still really, really fast as well. But yeah, I think they were too scared of people like cruising through the early game too fast on release. That's something that I really hope they update in the future, because it does kind of give you, especially for port tasks specifically, I think it gives you a really bad taste in your mouth. Like I haven't really done much of it after I got to 30. I had the same exact reaction. I was like, I never want to do this again. But
yeah,
I've like watched some videos, and like it seems like there's some like really cool methods for pet hunting with like ABA or whatever it's called, of like, it's like a dynamic way of like, oh, okay, you go to this port and this port and you're picking up different things, and it seems pretty interesting. But I just have this like idea that I'm gonna get a 58 XP drop whenever I deliver a piece of cargo, even though, I mean, no, I'm not. But
it's really hard to change a first impression. And if we could just right now across the board change the XP rates and make them very fair. So again, if you were to do a port task from Musa Point to Port Sarim, even in like a later stage, and you do have a Rosewood raft or something, you're just fucking coasting, like that should be relatively the same amount of XP as you could have gotten in the early game, because nothing is changing. Like you are delivering cargo from one ship or one port to another port. Like why is it scaling it at all? I can understand increasing XP rates to different ports, that's fine, but like it should be like if it's the same thing at level 99 sailing from one port to another, that XP should not be changing at all. Like, and the consequence of you shooting up to level 40 sailing really quickly is totally appropriate. I think that's totally fine. There's no more awkward competition that they're trying to balance it around for the people racing to 99 or 200 mil. It's like that's all gone. Give people a good taste in their mouth for courier tasks if you want to promote active gameplay. But at the current rate right now, everybody's going to funnel into salvaging basically, because it's the only thing that ends up kind of feeling good at that level, because it's complete brain off activity. So
yeah, I'm looking at the wiki right now, and it's like all of the XP drops that you're getting for every single port task, it literally just looks like a random number. Like there's no rhyme or reason. It's like every type of task that you get and every potential port, like it's all just slightly different, and I don't think I see like a single same number. It's just it feels very random and odd.
Does it scale off of level, or is it just simply the cargo you're bringing is a different level? Is that what it's basically saying? Because or actually, how did that work exactly? Because again, it's been a fucking minute since I've done courier tasks. I remember when you see the board, you have courier tasks, then you have the combat tasks. And I remember obviously the combat ones had a certain level requirement. Did the courier ones also have a level requirement? They did, right?
I think it does scale off level, but it's not like a direct, when you have X level, this task gives you something else. I think it's the next level will like unlock a different type of task or something like that. Like I'm trying to find.
And I guess you can bring more cargo as well, like with your crewmates or something, like bring
ship. Okay, here's an example. So like at level 28, you can bring spices from Artie to Brimhaven, and you get 63 XP, which is that's fucking hilarious.
What the fuck?
But then at level 36 sailing, you can bring beer from Artie to Brimhaven for 109. So you're getting more XP at a higher level, but that's only because the cargo that you're bringing is different or something.
Yeah.
It's very weird to follow.
That's a terrible way to have balanced things. Personally, this is my own opinion, but if you're bringing something over, why are you getting XP based on the goddamn fucking cargo? Like, what is that doing? Again, like, I know we're playing a fantasy game, so it's like whatever, but that makes zero sense. Like, if you sail from one place to the next place, it doesn't fucking matter what the hell is in the goddamn crate. Like, why would that determine how much sailing XP you're gonna get? So again, like, just balance it all off, like where you went, because it's all gonna scale anyway based on your boat speed and based on like the new ports you unlock. Like, that should be where the XP increases go. So the fact that you're getting, 60 XP versus 100 and whatever you said, like, that should all just be fully flattened. Like, just if you went to this port, you got this amount of XP, and the way you're increasing your XP is to make your boat faster, or find little ways, teleport or get other different routes going, or just unlock more ports, which again opens up those options to do like multiple deliveries and stuff. Like, that should have been the way forward.
It's the same thing in real life. It's like you go to a restaurant, you get a $10 glass of wine, and you tip $2 for it. Then you get a $50 glass of wine, you tip $10 for it. It's like, dude, that's the same amount of work. Like, like so I sailed to you. I brought you this shit. Like, why am I getting tipped on like bringing beer versus spices? Like, is there an alcohol tax? Like, what the hell?
Tipping is weird. It really doesn't make much sense. I mean, I think it's mostly in the cases where you're tipping more. I think it's the way I try to perceive it is like, okay, you're just in a fancier place. Yeah, you want to just you want to tip in respect to like that environment and that like ambiance or whatever. But like, dear God, yeah, if it's just the same place and you would have tipped this much, but now your bill is way higher, so you're just gonna tip way fucking more for the service. It's like, because you're tipping based on the service. It's like, why would it depend?
It's supposed to be a British game. I thought tipping didn't exist outside of America. Like, come on.
True. All right. That was interesting though to kind of hear. I mean, how do you feel? Let me ask you this. This is actually going to be one of the prompts that we cover on the next Sae Bae Unnoted, which, by the way, it would be fucking cool to have you on if you're free Saturdays.
Oh, hell yeah. I love that.
And now that you're a guest on the cast, you're actually you're going to be invited to the Sae Bae Cast Hub Discord, where it's all being hosted. So
oh, cool. Oh, is that how it works? It's all like those big panels that you have. It's all through your Discord.
Yeah, so I haven't really explained that publicly, mainly just due to the backlash that I inevitably would have. Like, as soon as something in any way, shape, or form is paywalled, or even if it's not, even if I have the option to, like, if you can't afford it, you can still join, which I have offered. It's just going to create pain for me publicly if I'm publicly posting that. So on the full episodes, though, if you watch them, at the end, I explain, like, if you're a supporter of the cast on any platform, you are welcome to join the Discord, and that's where it's hosted. Anybody in the Discord is more than welcome to join these panels. I'm not just like picking, like, I want you and you and you that agree with my agenda. It's like literally just anybody that's in that Discord, and all guests are invited. All previous guests that have been on the cast are in there. Not all of them are in there, but all of them have been invited to be in there. And then all the supporters are welcome in there as well. And then if anybody can't afford it, if you can't afford it, you can just reach out to me, and then I'll just give you access, and then whatever. So it is ultimately free, but the reason it's paywalled for the most part is just so I don't have to moderate as heavily, because if you're paying to be a part of this, you're probably not going to be a troll. You're probably not going to start creating spam links or whatever in my Discord server. So it's been a really cozy spot for the most part. I think the people in there really enjoy it too. So that is how people get on the panel. So
okay, that's really cool. Yeah, I think that's completely reasonable. And then I don't know, and then if you like feel really strongly about a specific topic or something, you can jump on and agree or disagree or whatever.
Yeah, so we're going forward. I'm hoping there's more and more people that start wanting to join, because then I actually can be a little bit pickier with who comes on, and I'll do it by like invite. So if you do sign up, and let's just say there's 30 people that sign up, I'm not gonna have 30 people on a fucking panel. I probably want to limit it to like maybe like a 3x3 grid. So there's like me and 8 others. And then I would have the nice luxury of actually being able to pick and choose the voices that are most passionate and most well thought out, because I feel like, not to call out anybody at the moment, but like the panels sometimes do feel a little empty. Like it feels like people are just kind of creating an argument on the spot of why they think something is not very well thought out. And I feel like that can be long-term a problem for the panels. So going forward, like right at this point, I'm just grateful for anybody joining, because I'm, it's something new that not everybody's familiar with at the moment. So hopefully going forward, though, I'm going to get more and more passionate and researched people that actually have very strong opinions that they're equipped to debate properly.
It's such a good idea. It's like, I don't think I've listened to all of them, but I've listened to a good amount of them. And it's like really refreshing to hear like actual structured conversation from two people that disagree and respect each other's opinions, and like just like, that's okay. And this is the root of why we disagree. It's like, oh, it does exist. Like, this is great.
Yeah. No, it's been fucking cool. And I think it's just me sort of pioneering it in the new, like in an old school space. This is obviously something that's been done in many other spaces, but for old school, we don't really see this. So it's kind of cool, like sort of heading it in a way. And I hope that more people want to join. And even if more panel shows kind of spring up from it, that'd be really interesting to see too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So in regards to AFKability, so kind of going back, one of the panel prompts will be, should every skill have an AFK activity on the level of star mining or redwoods or Karambwan fishing? Like, should all skills kind of have that ability, or are you against that?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Gut reaction is no. I don't know. I feel like they're like, it kind of takes away. I don't know. They're like, there are like those skills, like everyone knows those skills. Like, I mean, agility's the big one where it's just like, you can't really get around it. You can't do Zaya RC. You can't like AFK different things. I don't like.
You technically,
It probably depends on like
foot pedal Brimhaven at this point, but even that requires input. Unless you just want to.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, my calves aren't jacked enough to do that. I've like tried foot pedaling, alking and stuff, and just, my feet.
Well, they're not jacked before you do it. They're jacked after you do it. That's how you build it.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, I don't really know. That's an interesting question. I think the rates would have to vary skill by skill. Like, let's say. I mean, there's probably been like, I think there's been like meme suggestions on Reddit before of like, oh, a treadmill in your POH or something, like, like for that to actually exist and be balanced, I feel like it's like that would have to be a 30-second AFK and like 5 or 6k XP, and it'd have to be like really, really low to be in a spot where it's like not overstepping any metas. I don't know. That's a good one. I'll be very interested to listen to the panel or give it some thought. Yeah. What's your opinion on that?
I mean, one, I just think, okay, so well, salvaging is on the utter extreme. The fact that you can actually AFK for 30 minutes straight. You're not getting a shit ton of XP doing that, but you're still able to gain XP for 30 minutes, which is outrageous. I'm not losing sleep over it, however, because it is a separate skill that hasn't had any like history to it. So it feels almost like a fresh slate to create something that has that option, which I'm generally sort of okay with. And if that's how the community wants the game to go, where it is seen as more and more idle, which does make sense. When I try to be brutally honest with myself, I'm a creator that has the luxury of playing this game all day actively if I wanted to. But vast majority of people nowadays are entering or in their 30s. Some are even entering their 40s. They have kids, they have careers, and they still want to play the game and feel like they're making progress. So having those like really AFK relaxed options are generally fine going forward. I think it's almost inevitable, and I'm not going to try to like just endlessly push back to like an era where everything was active and the 5-minute logout timer was essential and all this stuff. So, however, and this sort of ties in with just making skilling fun, which I'm always ranting and raving about and screeching over, is just make it so skilling actually is enjoyable and have some active methods that are actually lucrative and enjoyable and worth your time. Most of the time, it's very just internal. It's a very like instinctive. It's very instinctive for people to just see a method and just be able to immediately sort of do like a calculation in their mind of if this is worth it or not, like worth my time. And most skilling is just absolutely not worth it, because your base, if you ever want to do in a lot of skills, the highest XP methods, you're basically making no GP, or you're like losing GP some of the time. That is so counterintuitive, by the way. Like I think Black Chins does it very well, where besides it being in the wilderness, I think that does actually offer a little bit, but not much. Just the fact that like that's the best hunter XP in the game you can get, and just a shit ton of money per hour, like that is phenomenal. That's so great. It's an active activity that takes skill expression. That's really cool. And like, for example, granite mining, like if you could actually mine granite and turn it into dust and put it on your cannonballs, all of a sudden granite mining's back on the fucking table and actually be like a lucrative thing, especially if you could sell the granite and people could ship it down, and that would be like a whole nother ecosystem for people to like get granite on their cannonballs. And it almost makes too much sense. It's fucking called granite, and it's granite cannonballs. Why the hell can't you turn it into granite cannonballs? So these sorts of ways to make skilling feel more appealing is step number one. Just make it so active training actually has some meaning to it. And I had this little discussion with Mod Goblin as well. Just the fact that like star mining would have been super hella active, even if there was no such thing as gem bags, or like the bag of gems you get that you can buy. Those are incredibly OP. By the way, the fact that you're just full AFKing something and getting a shit ton of crafting and money alongside, that was probably an overtune. I don't think you can really nerf it at this point, because everyone's just used to it, and it would just feel terrible to nerf it. But going forward, please don't be making the most AFK activities also incredibly lucrative in terms of resources gathered. Because like, why the hell would you want to go like do traditional active mining now to get gems when you can just star mine and sit your ass in bed and just click every 7 minutes? So yeah, that's a overtune in my view. But overall, just to answer the question straight, like I don't think every skill needs a full AFK way of training it. I'm okay with the low XP method. So if agility ever did come out with a method that was, 15k XP an hour, where you have to click once every 5 minutes, I actually wouldn't be opposed to that. I really wouldn't at this point. But it has to be very low for agility's sake, because again, we're balancing it for the rest of the skill. I'd be okay with something again in that range of like 15k XP an hour, where it doesn't feel game breaking entirely. Maybe it can be sort of social, where you're around a bunch of people. I don't want you to be locked into your POH endlessly. I'd rather it be like a sort of like a if we're talking non-fantasy, just 2 treadmills, sort of like a Zaya setup, where you got like the 2 rocks, one's active, one's not active, and everyone's just sitting there and fucking running to the next one whenever it loads up to gain their agility XP. Like, again, I don't actually want this to be in the game, low-key, but I would be okay with it if it wasn't in the game. If it's incredibly low XP, it's a social activity where people can talk about their fucking politics or whatever they're cool, have that, because then at least it kind of splits the difference of like, everyone just goes to star mining at this point, but then you'd have, half of those people running over to like the agility section and doing that. And then I don't know. I'd be okay with it, but I'm not pushing for that ultimately.
I think I'm kind of with you. Yeah. And I think no rewards is a big part of that too. I mean, all the JMods kind of talk about their different levels of like, are there different levers? So it's like you have profitability, you have intensity, and then you have XP, or I don't know if those are the 3 right levers, but with salvaging, it's like the only thing that's profitable. And then it's also super, super AFK. And I agree, it was very overtuned.
Yeah. One of the problems. So I'm hoping, with the courier task crates, Barracuda Trials, low-key, could offer some occasional like dragon sheets or dragon nails at the Gwyneth Glide. Like that would instantly, even though yes, it would kind of offer a lot at that point, at least it would be one more incentive for Ironmen to go to Barracuda Trials. Because right now Ironmen, they're not doing Barracuda trials. It's just not, again, unless you were trying to just get your max K back and then move on with PVM. But like for those that are wanting to engage in sailing and make a pimped out boat and stuff, that'd be cool to get your boat upgrades from doing Barracuda trials over and over. You don't need any other loot like seeds and stuff, but at least have it be ship parts that you're getting from Barracuda trials.
Yeah, I think that'd be reasonable. Or like, wait, aren't they doing? I think they're doing like courier tasks.
Yeah, that's what
stats, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good too. But
very good.
Yeah, and then like all the collection logs, like for all the cloggers too, it's like you're just like sitting at every tier of salvage. Like you are getting 99 just at salvaging, going for clogs. Like if you want the Marshall paint or whatever it's called, the Salvers paint, like oh my god, from the Marshall Savage, it's like 1 in 20. Like what are we doing? Like can't we have other stuff? Like anything profitable from stuff that's active?
By
like
the way,
AFK, like everyone likes AFK stuff, but make it
yeah.
at least a little bit of a choice. Like it was just so obvious. Like obviously I'm gonna salvage, and that's kind of why I proposed that question of like, I think about like if Barracuda Trials was 1 million XP per hour, I still don't think I would have done it to 99 because probably mainly because I'm a clogger and I'm like, well, there's nothing for me besides Barracuda paint, and the best place to get that is Temper Tantrum. So no, I'm not gonna do the Gwyneth Glide.
What are your thoughts on just these outrageous drop rates for things? I mean, I'm just thinking right now of like the deep sea trawling fish. Like just introduced a bunch of goddamn fish heads that you get that are just fucking outrageously rare. And then the Salvers paint, which is just from the pirate salvage, or no, not the pirate,
the Marshall Salvage, right?
Oh yeah, mercenary.
Yeah, you get Marshall Salvage from it, but it's the mercenary shipwreck, right?
That's right. Yep. Like it's like a fucking mid-tier one that you have to go for one. Why isn't that like the last one you're going for? I guess that has the dragon barrel, but like the 1 in 20,000 should have just been Salvers paint from all salvaging. So like it's all a 1 in 20,000 at any spot you're getting it. I have a concern. Hear me out, and then I want to hear your thoughts. This game is like there's just so many fucking things to go for these days. Like when we think of a grind, like I'm just gonna bring up Motherlode Mine, for example. In order to get all the unlocks there with all the golden nuggets, like you basically get like halfway to 99 instantly. And there's like a fuck ton of mining activities to do. And in my view, like it made sense at the time to have these like outrageous unlocks for skilling mini games and skilling content and like exclusive like skilling spots. But these days it's like, dude, you gotta make these rewards way, way, way more accessible because there's just way too much content out there to be stuck on one thing trying to get a goddamn upgrade forever. I think we're leaning too much into these really, really rare grinds for things that where you're basically solving the entire skill to 99 going for one goddamn thing. Like you mentioned the Salvers paint. Like you could just go 3x the rate and you're 99 sailing. It's like, what the fuck? Like
the cannon barrel. Like that was the classic. It's like, what's the average XP for the cannon barrel? Like 20 million or like something like completely stupid.
It's just out of control. And in my view, I'm like, we have such a plethora of content. Can we stop with these outrageous rates for things? We just don't need it. And the same thing goes with these mid-level PVM bosses. Like, I'm glad they changed Bell's Folly from 1 in 400 to 1 in 256. But even then, it's like, this is gate kept by, for a lot of people, an unlock to Slayer, unless you're using like Sheldar or something. But on top of that, you can only do it task only. And who the fuck wants to go get a Bell's Folly when it's only good for this little section of your account's life? So the only real people going for it are ultimately just a bunch of like cloggers that are just trying to get their clog and then their pet and then leave. But if you want to like make it feel like it's fitting thematically, you gotta increase the drop rate to a more reasonable level. You gotta make it like just a more reasonable thing to get. And I think there's a lot of others. That's not even that extreme of an example, but one of them is probably like the Basilisk Jaw. Like I understand the Basilisk Jaw for the time period. It was the best in slot helmet for a bit. That's cool and all, but like you're getting one thing from these Basilisks that you also have to pay for an unlock to go kill, which are just terrible loot. Like, and then you now have an Oathplate helmet, which is just better across the board. And like, dude, why is that thing still a fucking 1 in 1,000 and 1 in 5,000 off task? It's like, brother, like, can we tone this the fuck back. Like that jaw should have been a 1 in 256. It's a reasonable thing to go for. That feels like a really nice unlock for Ironman accounts. Who the hell is going for a basilisk jaw these days? Literally who? Like it's just so fucking
it's just a clog. Like it's not even an upgrade at this point. Yeah.
So all these things need to be toned back. Everything needs to, like, drop rates need to be more and more reasonable especially going forward. I can understand the viewpoint of not wanting to change everything retroactively, but like going forward, stop with the outrageous rates. We have so many goddamn fucking activities in this game to do, and everything should just be way more toned back so you have a huge variety of doing things, not just getting yourself to 99 in a skill from going for one goddamn clog.
Yeah, I think my overall take is if it's an actual useful item that you want to like be in, like I guess Bell's Folly is a good example. Like Bell's Folly should probably be like 1 in 64 or something. You should have a very good chance of getting that in a Slayer task, because like I don't know, by the time you're actually like by the time you hit rate and get your necessary tasks that you need to like get that Bell's Folly, it's like okay, you're probably just going to be TOA ready and you're never going to actually ever use this thing.
Yeah.
But I think for something like Salver's Paint, which I guess side note, I literally thought it was bugged when it got released because I was like, why is this only drop? Like the wiki's just saying it's only dropping from these mercenary shipwrecks. Like that can't be right. Like there's no like all the other paints drop from like multiple sources, like the Inky paint from all Krakens, Angler's Paint from all trawling, Barracuda paint from all trials. Like this can't be right, but it is. But I think overall, like any like cosmetic, I think it's fine to have silly rates sometimes. Like some of them might be a little bit like Angler's Paint is like a little bit out of control. Barracuda paint, I did 800 temper tantrums or something like that. It sucked, but at the end of the day, it's just a cosmetic. Like I didn't have to do that. That was just because I'm a filthy clogger. Like it's not actually affecting like the progress of somebody trying to get an upgrade like the jaw would be, or the Bell's Folly or anything like that.
That's a good point. I am mostly fully on board. That's been my stance. I think the reason I kind of went off the rails with just these more cosmetic things is just the fact that if you want variety and the sailing skill, quit goddamn locking everything behind a 20 mil XP grind for one fucking clock. Like again, it's like them just putting a stick in between their bicycle wheel, you know. It's just like they're doing it to themselves. Like it's like we want other people we don't want people engaging just in salvaging alone. It's like quit adding all the goddamn clogs to their event. Just make it so none of that shit ever had. Like imagine salvaging just didn't offer any clogs. It was just or maybe just the 1 in 3,000 clogs, and that was the extent of it. Even those like could just so not have existed, and then made everything else have the clogs. So then you're actually engaging in the other stuff. I guess they still do that if you're a dedicated clogger. You still have to do all the other stuff, but
and then maybe Shark Paint should actually be a grind and not just be like the random insanely common one where it's like, oh, Shark Paint, that's like a 20-minute grind. Angler's Paint, 40 hours. Fuck you. Like, see you later.
yeah, holy shit. Alrighty. Let's talk on this really juicy one that I've never talked about before. Nightmare drop rates.
I was like, oh wait, what are you going to talk about?
Yeah, never talked about this one, so I don't even know where to start. You know, like a Nightmare. Never talk about that. Let me get your take on the current state of Nightmare, which we did already sort of touch on. I shared my view on like if the staff and the orbs never existed, but that's sort of a pipe dream. I don't imagine them actually ever doing that, and I'm okay with that as well.
Yeah, I think my overall take, I feel like it's a little bit related to what we were just talking about, where it's the items you get from Nightmare like could actually fit into an Iron Man's progression. I remember way back in the day when like I didn't really fully understand just how rare items were from Nightmare. I remember thinking like, oh, I'm just gonna go get Inquisitor's Mace instead of Bludgeon, like because that's better. And that would be like cool to have. And then I realized like just how ridiculous that sentence was and was like, never mind, I'm definitely not going to do that. Yeah. But like Inquisitor's Mace is like a really good item that could see use like over something like a Scythe or something at certain places to save charges. So like that could be good. And then same with Inquisitor's armor. It's like, it's a good armor set to use before you have Torva or something like that, but everyone's just gonna get Torva instead because it's easier, it's more fun. And then staffs and orbs, like I don't really know my feeling on that, but basically, like my opinion is that if it was buffed again, it would slot Nightmare into a more reasonable spot of the progression path. And I called this out. I guess this wraps back to the very start of our conversation a little bit. I did call this out in my video of like, this is an old piece of content that, in my opinion, is still worth touching because it's so egregious, even though it does devalue people's time, like your time, Lake's time. Like, I still think, and I think you agree with this, like, for the health of the game and just like to avoid having just this like weird lottery boss that gives you nothing, like these items do have potential to fit into a progression path because they all get outclassed eventually anyway. So it's not like it's like an end, like if it was like the end game item set to go for, then I think the rates are perfect, but that's not the case. They're the tier before end game. So why is it like harder to get than something like Torva? Or actually, I don't know the hours. Maybe Torva's just as hard. Probably is.
I don't even think so. I actually think Torva, well, maybe if you're including getting Bandos from scratch too, it's kind of around there. I would need to know the hours, but I'm just comparing it to Oathplate at this point. Oathplate's better just across the board, and it's what you get it at a nice spot. If you were to just grind out while Gothic sleeps, get one synapse, roll up there with a friend that's also pimped out, and you can just go there, grind out, and you just make a fuck ton of loot and everything. Nightmare's loot table even sucks. So, and the kills just take forever. The twice as long.
It's a fun fight. Like PNM is great. Fun, yeah. Like it's such a good fight. Like it's kind of sad. It just gets thrown into the trash because it's so bad.
Oh man, if I know I'd say I'd sort of stray away from like the sort of pipe dream fantasy that I want to have, but if we could delete the normal Nightmare just entirely, just delete it and put Fasani's Nightmare, take that down from that like staircase up there and just put it in the middle of the room and just delete that whole staircase up there. Make it just so Nightmare is Fasani's Nightmare. It's just called Nightmare again. We just rebranded as Nightmare. That's it. Maybe unless there's like some lore impact, you could keep calling it Fasani's fine. But just have it be one boss and make it so it's duoable. I even suggested maybe up to 5 people can join. But even if it's just a duo boss, then you kind of put it in line with Yama, where you can still solo it, but you could bring another person in. It's the same scaling, so nothing's changing. It's just the fight is going to be more or less half the speed. It'll probably be a little bit longer, which means solos would probably still be the best. But you could bring somebody along with you, do the fight together, have a fucking blast doing it, and then drastically increase the drop rates of at least the armor and the mace. And then I don't know what the hell you do with this staves and the orbs. I wish they were just deleted from the game ultimately, but like if we're going to keep those, that's a separate conversation. But man, think about how cool that would be to just be able to duo Fasani's with your fucking boy at a reasonable stage in the account where like, you know what, I could either go for Oathplate, but I actually enjoy the Fasani's fight more, and maybe I don't have a tormented synapse yet and I just have a bludgeon and I want to go to this place and get an armor set. Like that sounds so exciting. And if it's actually reasonable drop rates, which they've never been, how fucking exciting would that be?
Yeah, it's just like off the table right now. Except for like cloggers and nothing else to do. Like it's not a thing. So I've also heard like a potential armor suggestion for raids 4 is like, oh, we should kind of with what Masori did for Arma, we should have a Inquisitor upgrade where you can break down Inquisitor, make a better crush armor that's more in line with Oathplate or something. I think that'd be great, but in its current state, no, because you don't want to make people grind out super rare Inquisitor. Like the base piece shouldn't be harder to get than the upgrade.
Yeah.
So if they buffed it more, then you also have a precedent to make an upgrade from a raid or like a different boss or something.
Yeah.
To kind of like round that out to have like an actual competitive crush armor set alongside of Oathplate.
I'm literally just laughing at the fact. First of all, I think that is a brilliant idea if drop rates are changed, but you're going to see the exact Cerberus effect of the Pegasian crystal where like Inquisitors then shoots up in value, and this fucking upgrade to Inquisitors from raids 4 is dirt ass cheap. It's just going to be like worth like a mil because everybody wants to grind raids 4 and nobody wants to actually fucking do Fasani's at that point. But Fasani's is going to just skyrocket in value. So like, I guess people will eventually go there, but it all comes down to like what is the more hour and the more fun thing. Like what are people actually flocking to? So you would see one of those items just tank, but they could in a very healthy way make it so the prices or the drop rates of Inquisitors and Mace drastically get improved. And I mean like rip the goddamn band-aid off at this point, just change it to a very reasonable rate. And then you could add the upgrade to it from Raids 4. That would be fucking cool, actually.
And that would be like, it would kind of give them justification for doing it, because they're probably like, dude, we cannot buff this again. Like we keep buffing it. Like we can't just buff it every 2 years until the end of time. Like, yeah. So if I don't know,
this would be the perfect time to rip the band-aid off. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I do want to say about like buffing drop tables and stuff is that this is probably never going to happen, but because like Jagex always needs to keep it on the table. But I wish they could just tell us if they're never going to touch something. Like this goes for Nightmare, for Corp, for buffing Chambers. Like there's always like conversation about specific pieces of content where people are kind of clamoring for buffing a certain drop rate. And then obviously Jagex isn't going to say anything because they don't want to like say, we will never do this and then shut down that option for themselves. But it kind of sucks when you're like a very long-term player. Like for myself, like I'm obviously not in a rush to get Inquisitor, but I'm just like, it feels not worth it to ever actually go for it. Cause I just feel like in 2 years, they're going to buff the drop rates again. And then after that, who knows, maybe they'll buff it again. So like, I'm just never going to touch the content. And kind of the same thing goes for Corp, where it's like, they might change this at some point. Like they might make it massable by irons, and then maybe there's a more efficient way to duo it or something like that. So should I wait for trying to grind out Corp until that happens? Like I'd prefer they don't touch Corp, but the thing I care about most is just like, tell me one way or another if this is even on the table, and then that gives people more clarity. But I also very much understand them not doing that because they don't want to just like shut down their options just for the sake of it.
Yeah, it's a tough one to do. I mean, we saw it with the one time they actually did do that is when they added stackable clues officially, and they said we are never like we're not changing the 5 clue limit. And a lot of people flipped the fuck out over that sentiment, but I understood it. I was like, okay, like I understand this is not set in stone necessarily. They're just kind of saying that, and I got it as like, just rest assured we're keeping this the way it is. So like, just don't feel like you're losing out or anything like that. Like this is just the way it's going to be, and we're taking a hard stance on this. And I'm like, I can appreciate that, but imagine a nightmare scenario, no pun intended, where they said after the first iteration of changes to Nightmare, okay, we're no longer changing the drop rates. These are how they're going to be forever. And they fucking lock themselves into these terrible drop rates, and we're all begging and pleading, like, fucking fix it. Like, nope, we said we wouldn't. It's like, holy shit, this would be a terrible thing to be involved with.
Yeah, because like who knows? Like in 10 years from now, like there might be like 400 new upgrades for Crush Armor or something, and at that point, like Nightmare should be a 5-hour grind if you want it to be relevant at all. So they would have justification to buff it again. So you don't want to like trap yourself like that.
Yeah,
but it kind of gives people like sometime, or I'm probably just projecting. It gives myself like analysis paralysis of like what content is worth doing versus what content is going to be another waiters win situation.
Yeah, and the way I look at it is just make it so drop rates are fair, they respect people's time, and they feel reasonable and they fit. We don't need to have these, I don't know what the hell, like there was like some mass psychosis, I swear, at the time Nightmare was happening, where everybody was just like, yeah, let's make a fucking lottery drop table like God Wars Dungeon. First of all, it's nothing like God Wars Dungeon. God Wars Dungeon takes 20 hours to get all your fucking Bandos pieces. Like literally, if you're in max gear, you can get like 25 kills an hour if you're good at it. And it's like the gear is a 1 in 300. It's like takes like not 15 hours. Like this is not,
That's lottery in the sense that like the other drops besides the uniques are shit, but it's not lottery in the sense of like super fucking rare. So I feel like they just like misinterpreted the word lottery.
They fully I mean, the lottery kind of just emerged later, but they were like, we want a drop table that has really shitty loot and has rewards. So like the rewards are like the big ticket items. And then everyone kind of wanted this weird fantasy of like some lottery thing where every drop, if you get it, feels so incredible. And it's like this weird main mindset where like The mains don't even fucking care what the items are. They'll just buy anything on the Grand Exchange. They are purely pigeonholing themselves into the feeling of getting a rare drop. And they don't even understand that, like, if you make shit like Third Age, vast majority of players never end up getting Third Age. It feels fucking incredible when you get it, but should we really be just creating more Third Age style drop tables just for the hell of it? Like, absolutely not. So, yeah, I'm just thinking the way forward really is have a full-on discussion and have a full-on reasonable look at just making drop tables make sense in the current day with all the plethora amounts of other content that's competing. Like, content is now competing with one another for there's just so much analysis to have of like, okay, what is the current meta? Let's look at that absolutely right now. Ironman meta, main meta, whatever it is, look at it holistically and just see what is being hella neglected. One of the things that's hella neglected is Nightmare. Basilisk Jaw, just to bring up another one. Dragon fucking Harpoon. What the hell? Why is the drop rate 1 in 10,000? Like, Jesus Christ. So
Yeah,
you got all
I've
these
been
things.
going for oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just wrapping up. But like, just look at everything holistically and make things make sense. It makes the whole game feel better.
Yeah, I agree. I've been going for, I need dragon knives on my collection log, and I finished Hydra. So I'm just like doing worm tasks, and it's like even on tasks, it's 1 out of 2,000. I'm like, what am I doing with my life, dude? Like, what is this rate? Like, and you get the, like, if you get the drop, like, it's like over a mil or something. It's just, it's very, very weird.
And
yeah, it feels random.
you're in the most privileged position because you have a bunch of Slayer points to be able to like skip. If you actually just wanted to do Worm Task, you probably got a bunch of Slayer points. You also have pimped out gear. You got full ass fucking Torva with a Dragon Hunter lance, with all your pots, with your everything. A person that's like mid game killing worms, like, it's terrible. You're just like, literally, you have no Dragon Bane weapon. You're just like using a fucking Dragon Sim against them. It just takes forever. And then you have to go for 2,000 of these. Like, how many goddamn tasks is that? Like 15 Worm Slayer tasks. What Slayer level are you now? And let's just say you go 4 times the rate. You're looking at 8,000 worms for a goddamn upgrade that, like, what the fuck is it? What were they thinking? It's all the GE mentality. Like, how can we artificially just or arbitrarily inflate the price of this thing with zero other factors in mind? It's terrible the way they balance that.
Yeah, I feel like a take that I had, this is actually something I considered sending over about a topic, but I ended up removing it because I didn't want to completely spam you with ideas. But I was thinking designing content around Ironman is actually like a really healthy thing to do, which I know would probably trigger a lot of mains, but like, when you think about it in terms of the progression path, like the prices are all going to balance out and everything, but it's like, then instead of designing it around like, I want the price of this item to sit here, you're designing it around like a more natural like supply and demand of like, this will be useful for these players and it will make sense in the progression path. And it kind of like, in my opinion, would just kind of naturally fall in place if you're just like, okay, we want to release the Dragon Harpoon. We want it to come from this new Slayer boss or these new Slayer monsters called worms. Like, how many kills should it take to get one? Maybe like 5-12. That seems reasonable. And I just feel like things would be in a healthier place if, I'm sure they do consider Ironman in general, but it's not really catering to Ironman, but it's more just like when you're thinking about how something should fit into the game, I think it's not a bad thing to like design around an Ironman.
It's the most optimal way to design content around. Think about chambers, drop tables, like just the normal loot you get. They balanced everything off of the current 2017 GE values of shit. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, why are you are making the issue worse by spamming dwarf weeds out, because the price of dwarf weeds at that time was a very low price. So in order to make the GP value of this loot feel good for those main players, we're just going to start shitting out more dwarf weeds. That'll definitely help the price of this very, very high level herb. Like, this is the worst way to go about it. The high level herbs like Torstals and dwarf weeds should be the rarest ones. And then Renars are obviously very useful, but when you actually look at the skills tree of it, it's like Renars are supposed to be one of the common herbs you get. of course they're very powerful, so there could be some extra, sort of nuance to, discussing that. But like, for the most part, the herb, scaling in the skill guide should be how you're designing like drop tables. Like that really should be the way forward. And they, for the most part, do that on a lot of drop tables in terms of seeds, for example. Like you're getting a lot of the lower level seeds, but then like the torsals are extremely rare, the dwarf leads are extremely rare and stuff. They do some, again, silly balancing with Renars, because Renars are just seen universally as like the really like, luxurious herb and stuff, because it's obviously the one most people want to use. But imagine a world where Renars actually were a lot more common. They actually are common on the Master Farmer table, because they didn't balance that based on the Grand Exchange goddamn values. So that was nice. But yeah, I just feel like balancing things in the way in Iron Man progression terms is so healthy, and it creates a way more interesting and just so many different pathways for an Iron Man account. It doesn't create these really like set routes that people just inevitably take, because it's just so much more efficient than doing other routes. So yeah, I'm with you there. As hot of a take as that does sound, I'm fully in agreement.
I know you never want to say like, oh, balance around Iron Man, but yeah, that's different than like an Iron Man update,
Mm-hmm.
And on that note, it's also like I feel like Toad Flax just like doesn't drop from anything. Like,
yeah,
I feel like there's a lot of monsters. Yeah, they just like have every herb, and then they're just like, but not Toad Flax. It's like, dude, why not Toad Flax? Oh, it's because it's for brews. Okay, like that's fine.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird balancing things. Yeah, you're right about the Toad Flax, and I feel like the other one is maybe it's Torstals. I'm thinking as well. Torstals and Toad Flax are a little bit weird. They're kind of wonky. They're not always drop, and Snapdragons feel a little bit in that category too.
Yeah, I have a buddy that he went for an arcane sigil,
Mm-hmm.
and he went pretty dry. I think he killed like 2K corp or something, and he was like out of quarms for his super combats, because he just like made so many, and it's like, what? I've never heard of anybody being out of quarms. That's so random. But yeah, I don't know. I'll blame the drop table on that one too.
That isn't. It feels like quarms are barely affected. Those are like one of the herbs that feel very unaffected by this, because they are just sort of like the middle of the road herb. That's funky. I've never heard of anybody.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. That was very, very odd.
Yeah, he must just not do any herb runs.
Yeah, probably.
Let me get your take on God Wars Dungeon rework. And I'm going to preface this. I know I've talked about this a decent bit in previous casts recently, but I would love it if God Wars Dungeon is just continuously becoming out of fashion when it comes to, or that's probably not the right terminology, but just, it's not the best in slot stuff anymore. It just isn't. And so when it used to be, it made sense for this grind to have some like, big hurdles to get over, like getting the KC and getting a team member with you and all this stuff. And it was very daunting for a single, Iron Man to go in there alone and stuff. But these days, everything's kind of solved, and it feels like more mid-game stuff. Like if you want to go get Bandos, like that feels more mid-game now. And if you want to get a Zami Spear, if it's very mid-gamey, and all this stuff feels very mid-game. Armadillo is kind of mid-gamey now. And I would love to, on my hardcore Iron Man, be able to grind out Sarah at a rate where I feel comfortable doing it. But because I'm a hardcore, getting ecumenical keys out in the wilderness, like I can still do it. It's not like it's that dangerous. It is multi though, and it's just like extra risk that I don't really want to do. But I have to kill 40 fucking wizards. 40 goddamn wizards have like 200 HP each just to get in the goddamn room to now go kill Zilliana with really, really, really shitty DPS. I want that fixed. I want the God Wars Dungeon KC to be fixed. It doesn't need to be scrapped or anything, but just make it so the KC lingers if you leave the area, or if you die, your essence stays however much you had, and it just is continuously building up. So if you do a Slayer task that's spiritual creatures, you can go down in the God Wars Dungeon thing and actually build up some KC for later use. The other thing is just making it so NPCs have different variations of essence. They already do that with Nex. You kill certain things for more essence or less. And we have none of that in traditional God Wars. So like, why can I kill an imp for 1 essence, but then kill a 200 HP spiritual mage? Or actually, the spiritual mages actually have less HP than that. Actually, the Saradomin ones actually have quite a bit. So maybe it is closer to 200 HP. But it's like, why am I only getting 1 for that? That should be like 8 or something, so I can actually get in there and get my items. What are your thoughts on just God Wars Dungeon in general? I'm kind of just everywhere right now.
I think the thing I resonate the most with is having minions give more KC. I think they could bring it in line where it's a similar like, I guess, time to enter the boss room, whether you KC or whether you get ecumenical keys. And then the benefit of ecumenical keys is that, well, one, you can get shards from next, which is nice, and then 2, you can kind of stack them up and then do a couple trips in a row if you want. I don't know why this hasn't been changed already. I don't think they should like remove minion KCing, because I feel like that's a pretty like core nostalgic part of God Wars Dungeon. It's something that like makes it unique, even though it's janky and not in line with anything else. Like, that just feels like a little bit wrong to me to straight out remove it. But I do think that
for sure
increasing, the amount that you get from minions is good. Yeah, I think something else. Or I guess I'll let you respond to that too, or first. I don't know if you have anything else to say.
I'm fully on board. I think it is a nostalgia thing that we should keep, and it does make God Wars God Wars. When it comes to ecumenical keys, the same thing should apply. So if you're going to grind out ecumenical keys in the wilderness, the same thing. Like the certain NPCs should give a way higher chance of getting ecumenical keys. Should not just be standardized for anything you kill, because then you just always prioritize imps, which is silly. Or do the barrage method, but again, you can still do the barrage method and just be way more keys per hour. Again, because at a time, if we're looking a decade ago, it made sense, but these days it's like mid-game stuff you're getting. So yeah. And then how do you feel about you not losing your essence if you leave the arena or die?
I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of unopinionated on that one. Like, it'd be fine, I guess, but I don't know. I feel like I kind of like the idea of like, okay, you're an adventurer, you go in and like you're kind of preparing yourself to enter the boss by like summoning up the courage that you can take on the Krill massive boss by like killing some of his minions. Like, I don't know if it makes that much sense to like keep it, but the idea of being able to stack up is probably really nice. Because then you don't have to like, I don't know. It's kind of annoying with like when you want to go and kill a boss, it's annoying to be like, okay, but wait, first I have to do 5 minutes of chores before I can go do that. So it would streamline it. I don't know. I wouldn't feel too strongly one way or another on this.
There's one more. I think the most stark example of why this would be a good thing is just Nex. If you're going to kill Nex, nobody's soloing it. Everyone's getting in a team, 2 to 6 players or whatever most people are doing. And if you have somebody die, if you're just running 3-mans and you're not comfortable doing duos and one of your teammates die, but you just KC'd for a fucking hour.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, okay, what are you supposed to do now? You're just sitting there in this room. You can't leave as the person that survived, because if you leave the area, you lose all your essence because you teleported out. And you're just kind of waiting for this other guy to re-KC up. And it's just a terrible feeling. And it makes that whole thing a big slog. I understand there's going to be some hater in the comments just saying, don't die. It's like, yeah, obviously don't die. But like, if you want to make content feel good and feel fair and feel like just fun, get rid of that shit entirely. Just make it so you can, on your free time, KC up, get a shit ton of KC loaded up, and then you're pretty much just good to go whenever you want. But you still had to do it at one point. You can teleport out later. It stays there. If you die, it stays there. I think we're playing a game where we just got to make this stuff a lot more streamlined, especially when it comes to team stuff. Next is team stuff. And like, god damn, can you imagine you were running raids and somebody died in a raid and they had to like re-KC up for like 20 minutes and you're just sitting there in the lobby like waiting for this guy?
Next is in a really weird spot because you have to commit. Like you go and get 200 KC or something. Yes. You're like, all right, here we go. Like 2 hours of Nex. And then if someone dies, like they're probably just going to rage quit. And if they don't, I'm just going to be like sat at the bank making potions, or I'll just like go play a different game for 15 minutes or something, and like waiting for them to come back. One
more thing I didn't even consider was the fact that like I only really wanted to be gaming with other GMs when I was a GM, like, because I don't want to wait for some guy to get the 30 KC or whatever or the 30 essence for entry. I want to get the guys that all have 15. Like, and
yeah,
so
that is an insane buff. Like the 15 KC is nuts for next. Like it's so good.
it is good, and it's still a cool luxury to have, and it would still be a cool luxury. But so if you don't have that though, you just have to grind, you know, twice as many, but it still stacks up over time. So you're not punished for some guy not being a GM. Like, you know what I mean? Like like the noob that you're with now, because you want, you know, learners to be brought into this new content. How do you incentivize that? Well, you don't incentivize it by making it even more punishing for the fucking grandmaster that's bringing him along, holding his hand, and then he ends up dying and has to re-KC at the 40 goddamn KC per entry. Like this is a terrible, terrible incentive to have to like bring learners along. Holy shit.
Yeah, it has shades of I know you've talked about this before, like the chambers, like if a learner dies in a chambers, it takes away your points and you're like, bro, I am doing community service right now. Like, please.
Yeah. Holy crap. Yeah, now you're going to get me all fucking more riled up about just the fact that, like, I mean, do you know Ron Plays Games? He kind of left the streaming scene a few years ago.
I definitely know the name, but I never really watched him too much.
Yeah, he's one of those New Zealander. He was on like a GIM team with like Skidler and Eviescape like years and years ago. But anyway, he was the one that kind of brought it to my attention when I had him on the cast, and he was like, "Dude, it's fucking silly that." And I'm gonna relate this to like Sepulcher. So when Sepulcher first dropped, if you didn't make if you didn't make it to floor 5 in time, you got docked XP for not having made it in time. But you're already getting docked XP for not fucking for just taking so long. You know, like your XP per hour is already plummeted by the sheer fact that you are slow as hell. And now you're just going to be punished beyond that just for like, here, we're going to cut your XP as well, even after you still completed it. Like that was a mistake, and they fixed it. What we're seeing with Chambers is very similar, where if you're bringing learners, or if you are a learner going in there, you're already spending 2 goddamn hours in the place, and then you leave with 0 points because you fucking died like 8 times at the end because you ran out of supplies. And like, okay, so you already took up 2 hours of your time, but now you also basically just continuously get docked points until you have none. And that is a terrible system to have in place. Again, some people could see it as like, yeah, punish the noobs, punish them more and more, like, you know, get good. But what the fuck is that? Like, you're already punished for being terrible at the content. Why are we docking your points too? There should be, if you complete the raid, you get those amount of points that you got. And everything should just be based on points per hour. If you're terrible at the raid, your points per hour is terrible. You should not be further docked for dying. That's my personal take. And I think the same thing should apply with Toa. If you die a billion times, you should not be losing 40% of your points. One, because if you died 3 times in the first room, it's basically no real effect. I mean, I think there actually is some hidden mechanic. If like the more you die, you get dung potentially at some point, or your purple chance gets coded weird. But generally speaking, like in Chambers, it's all just points based. So you dying to, you know, let's just say you're running a CM and you die in the first 3 rooms each. That's barely any points taken from you. If you just die 1 singular time at the very last second of Ulm, you just lost 40% of your points. So like, if you're gonna, if people are so stuck on point deductions, make it just static. Make it so every death is just 2,000 points gone or 5,000 points gone or whatever the amount is. That's the extent of it. I would say eliminate that entirely, because maybe I am on more of the progressive end of things, where I'm like, dude, your points per hour long term are terrible right now, regardless if you got docked any points. You're running this raid fucking like the slowest way ever. What are your thoughts on getting rid of deductions and these things?
I do think you should get punished for dying. Like I think that just like makes sense. I think removing total points from the raid and like punishing your teammates for dying, that's crazy, and that should definitely not be the case. But I like the idea of a static removal, where it's like, let's say it's 5,000 points in Chambers or something. So if you die 4 rooms into a CM or something, it's like you're gonna go down 5,000 points. But then if you die at Ulm, it's not this like massive sense of dread of being like, damn, should I just like reset this entire raid? Like I'm not getting a purple. This is a horrible feeling. I think removing it entirely is a lot. Like that seems I don't know, like you died. Like you should get punished a little bit. You died, but I get the argument that it's like you are losing time, but you're not losing that much time if you die at home or something.
But there's even further punishments. It's not just the time. It's the fact that like in Toa, if you die, you lose your supplies. Like you had the salt, now you don't have the goddamn salt. Like that's the punishment in and of itself. Like if you ever die at Wardens, you actually had the invocation on to have additional lives. If you're running a solo, for example, and then if you're thinking, well, then you could just freely die in a multi-raid and you haven't lost anything. Your teammates aren't going to fucking want to bring you along. That's for sure. If you keep dying in rooms and slowing down the raid. So there's like a social incentive as well to just be like, you want to hold up your end of like the terms, for joining these teams. And if you want to bring on learners, the worst thing ever, again, is your learner people bringing down the total points of the raid. You're already slowing this whole fucking thing down big time. You're having to teach people at the beginning of each room, and then you're getting further and further punished. There's already so many punishments that naturally arise from deaths, and just the further point deductions is so stupid and masochistic. And that's, I probably will die on that hill.
I think the social aspect is a really good point too. It's like if I die like P2 at Toa or something, the thought of my decreased points never crosses my mind. All I'm thinking about, like watching my teammate just like solo all of P3 is just like, God damn, I'm an asshole. Like we'd be done already. I can't believe I made him do this. And that's enough motivation in itself right there to just like not screw over your friends.
Yeah. And the raid slowed down, and if they got rid of the point deductions, because when you're running shared loot raids where like everyone's gonna split, when you die, you've actually low-key pissed off everybody else, because that is a team point loss ultimately. Like obviously the individual isn't, but it's just a bad feeling. You don't want to bring learners on because you're losing this general point thing, and you've already lost time bringing them. So yeah, it seems at surface value like it seems radical, and it seems like this is Babyscape, but it's not Babyscape. You still have the punishments. They're just in different forms. So
yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah. I think, I wouldn't be terribly upset if they removed it. I think overall my take is it should be a static deduction, but the amount that could be, I feel like could be any number of values, and I feel like they'd all be reasonable.
That's fair. Alrighty. Let me just ask one last thing, and then if we have any other things that we want to talk about at the end, we can. But I'll ask this, and if we don't have anything else, we'll kind of wrap things up. But I guess I kind of have two things, but let me just sort of narrow it down. So we already talked kind of about skilling, making it more fun and stuff. Do you have any sorts of ideas of how to bring skilling? Well, let me just give my preamble first, and then I'll kind of have you share some thoughts, because I love these. I love being able to just ramble at you. You've been a champion.
Happy to be the ears. That's good. That's good.
All right, so I really do feel like the PVM in this game is thriving massively. Like it's just in a really nice spot, and we keep having these incredibly designed bosses that just feel extremely satisfying, and everything about it just feels perfect. The reward space is amazing. The lucrative loot that you're getting if you don't get rewards feels good. The satisfaction of these gear upgrades and everything feels good. And my argument is that we can take a lot of what we're doing right with PVM and translate it over appropriately to skilling. It's ultimately a medieval point and click game. Everything's pointing and clicking, and you can easily translate the fun stuff, the good nectar, that sweet nectar you get from PVM, over to skilling without turning everything into a skilling boss. You can still have that sort of satisfaction and RNG elements that make PVM so addicting into skilling. Do you generally subscribe with that sort of sentiment?
I do, and I think the key part of that is RNG. I think, at least for me, one of the biggest reasons PVM is so much fun is the dopamine of, like, one, getting the drop that you want, and then two, when you hit big and you like have a good kill or like you get a PB or something because you're popping off, like it's really really satisfying, and it gives you that variance that keeps things interesting. So I think that's like a really, I think like honestly, Endgame old school is like, it's just a reskin slot machine where you're just like constantly like rolling for either a number or a drop, and then you get the thing and you're like, oh my god, yes, this is so good. But instead of money, you're just sacrificing time. But yeah, I think more RNG specifically would make skilling feel really really good. Whether that's like resource extraction or like an actual drop from an activity that's really rare. That would just, it'd make it a little bit more fun.
I feel like the massive hurdle we have to overcome is botting, because basically this conversation that we're having right now is completely shut off by the fact that, oh well, if you pump up skilling, if you pump up that sort of nice sort of dopamine hits of getting stuff, now it's just going to be a bug light for bots, and they're all going to flood there. And clearly there's nothing we can do about bots, because whenever any of it's brought up, it's like, oh, you don't understand, it's just bots are always a part of this. And I understand it's an arms race with bots, but like I feel like there's so much more that can be done. I'm not going to get into the botting conversations, but that feels like the big hurdle that we have to overcome, is just like skilling is easy and bots will go there and plummet the prices. But I guess to counter it, we already see bots running perfect top runs and doing medium clues and all this other shit. Like bots are programmed like crazy these days. They're doing PVM. I see them running around at Bandos 24/7. Just there's
or Doom, anything that's profitable. Like they're just gonna send it.
Yeah. So in my view, this is all just an archaic sort of viewpoint where like bots only go to skilling. Bots are everywhere these days, and I just don't feel like we should be designing skilling to just be terrible because of bots affecting the economy. I want skilling to feel rewarding, but in turn, I'll also say this: skilling should be fun and should be very satisfying. And there are ways to do that. We just haven't seen it. The devs haven't cooked hard enough to really implement something on the level of, satisfaction and skill expression as like Doom in skilling. We kind of see that with Sepulcher. Sepulcher is a great sort of taste of it, but it doesn't come without its issues. And the reward space of Sepulcher is not lucrative enough to be this extremely like exciting piece of content for most people. And yeah, anyway, any thoughts currently, and then I'll kind of share the last little bit.
Yeah, I think like Sepulcher is in general like the golden standard that a lot of people will point to, and I agree with it. Where it's just like it's the only piece of skilling content that actually feels like smooth, and then you have the RNG of like, oh, I got like good arrows that got fired at this specific time, and I hit that blue portal, and that makes me feel good because it feels more like, I mean, it's not a PVM encounter, but it has the elements that make PVM fun, like the fluidity, the small RNG tweaks to make a run good or not run, and then the big ticket drop at the end too, of course.
Yeah. And they got those strange old lockpicks, which is not very like, not many people care about them that much, but they are something additional as well that are exclusive there. Man, like if we could just sort of copy a little bit of what we've done with Sepulcher, add it to some additional skills where there's like real skill expression to be had. It doesn't have to be anything like that, but just something that does take some real skill. It's not just able to be executed perfectly within 30 minutes of doing the activity. Like basically all skilling is like all skilling mini games can like a toddler can get on an iPad and immediately do it. That's concerning for me. And I think in my view, a future of skilling is pushing the boundaries of skill expression with these skilling things while maintaining fun. So not knife logging every goddamn thing as skill expression or having to run a bunch of alts to show your skill expression, but truly engaging mechanics that we can take from PVM in some situations, and then adding really cool RNG rewards that actually are meaningful and feel like a sense of gear progression. I think this is a whole separate thing that we won't get into, but like skilling gear progression could be an interesting route to take as long as it's pretty tame. I don't know. I just think there is a path forward with skilling, and what sucks so bad is I just think there's so many people that have just completely checked out of skilling ever being something they want to interact with, because almost every single activity is just not. There's just zero incentive to do it, and most people just see skilling as a means to an end. So I don't know. Just I'm basically just like sharing how I feel, and I just want. I've been pushing this for years and years, but I really want to see some really cool interactive skilling that feels like on the level of difficulty as PVM, that has very, very lucrative rewards that feel fucking amazing to do. Like, oh, people, I guess I'll say one more thing. People are begging basically for a skilling raid, like something that feels like a raid, but is like getting your skills up. First of all, I think that would be a terrible idea, mainly because now all skilling across the board is completely dead because you just raid for your XP, which would be, some people would love it, obviously, but I don't think that would be a healthy move for the game. But it's like, it's very clear that people do want to get like their XP up in a fun and thrilling way. And that, I don't know,
I think skilling doesn't have to be all XP. Like you could have a skilling raid, but then not have it be good XP per hour, and have it be fun and reward focused, instead of just like, oh, well, you can train your skills while also doing this. Like you'll get some XP. It's like similar to a normal raid where it's like, if you want to train your magic, you're not going to go kill Olmhand. Like you're not doing that to train. But I feel like there's room for that. I like to think that they're kind of aware of the direction that people want to go. Like I think they cooked with Barracuda Trials a good amount. Like it's difficult to pick up. There's like a ton of optimization that can be had. Like I remember when sailing got first released, like the amount of like Red Eye Jedi videos that came out of like the small optimization tweaks that were like continuously being found, and like all the emergent gameplay of like, if you do this, there was some shit with like ghost crates happening. It was like a bunch of like really, really interesting stuff. The only thing that it was missing was like actually having a reward space. But as far as like the flow of that skilling activity, I thought it was really good. And like hopefully they can use that as inspiration for more activities for other like quote unquote normal skills instead of the new sailing skill.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's I mean, I could just go on and on rambling, but I'll kind of leave it there. Is there anything that we've missed talking on that you think is important that we touch on before we wrap things up?
Oh man, I don't think so. Yeah, I feel like we covered it. We covered a ton of stuff, but it was a lot of fun. It's cool to have in-depth conversation about all the different I don't know, game design in general is always really interesting, about like what would be a good update, what wouldn't, what has potential and all that stuff. But I don't think I really have anything now.
Okay, well, Ziti Sauce, you've been an incredible guest. I've thoroughly enjoyed every second of this. So thank you so much for taking the time to come on, and I'm sure I'll be inviting you back on again, and maybe even potentially like a 3 or 4 way conversation with some other high-level Ironmen involved. I think that would be really cool to kind of share ideas among each other. So thank you so much. I'm going to have all your links down in the description. Your YouTube, I'd highly recommend people check it out. You're a relatively new YouTuber, but you have an Endgame Ironman series that's going for the Gilded Collection Log staff and just clogging in general. So yeah, go check them out there. Linked in the description. Ziti Sauce. Any final words from you?
Nothing much. Just yeah, thanks so much for inviting me on. This was super fun. And yeah, if you ever want to chat about anything, definitely happy to pop on.
Okay. Well, thank you all for listening, and we will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.